Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in here to Murder Church. Thanks for coming in here this morning. Getting started on episode 18 of the Phil Spector murder trial. Getting ready to rock and roll. Appreciate everybody coming in this morning. Yeah, we're going to hang out for a little bit. Coming at you.
Let's rock.
Yeah, what's up everybody? Welcome in here. Murder Church is on the air. Coming at you. Is my background a little bit off? Hold on. What is that? What is that blocking that? Oh, I think the green screen's slightly off maybe. Welcome in here, guys. I'll fix that in just a second. Thank you so much. Happy Sunday morning. Hopefully, you guys, hopefully everyone has had a good weekend. I've had a pretty good weekend. This is the start of the vacation for me. So yeah, the official vacation starts tomorrow, but I count the weekends also. So yeah, this weekend going into next week, and the next weekend, that's about 9 days. I'm excited to chill out and really kind of get myself back, my headspace back together. You know, anybody that works, I'm sure you do the same if you get a chance to just chill out for a minute. But welcome in here, everybody. Appreciate it. Let's see who's hanging and banging this morning. Also, let me get the chat over here so I can pop that up. Boom, boom. Let's see what everyone's doing this morning. Who's in here? Wild Side coming through, hanging and banging. What's up? Semi Sharp coming through this morning. Bonnie Bailey in the house. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. RX Girl said, what's up? Hell yeah. Sheila Duffy's in the house. What's up? What's up? What's up? Oasis Cat, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome in here, everybody. Appreciate it. On the old X machine, please share it out if you get a chance to. I sent that out just now. Let folks know that you are hanging out on Murder Church this morning, and I really appreciate it. Sheila Duffy's already on top of that. I see that. Thank you so much for that share. That really helps us out here. And if you're just hanging out back there and you have not yet, hit the old like. Sarah, good morning, coming in here. Appreciate it, coming in hot. The will is in play this morning. Let me see where we're standing on that right now. Friday night, we got pretty close to another spin. Let's see exactly where we're at on that, just so we are aware. Madeline won another shirt on Friday. And the new wheel is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Two names away from a spin this morning, so we'll see if we get there as well. But yeah, we're about to start in on part 7 of Adriano de Souza's testimony, as I think we're spending the most of the morning with him. If I go back down here, let me see. I think we're still going to be hanging out with the driver that evening. Yeah, we have part 7 here, which looks like it's got an interview with the police, potentially. That's what the thumbnail is on that one. And then a part 8 after that. And we're on part 7 right now, and it is 36 minutes, so it's not too bad. We'll see exactly how much further we get this morning. But hell yeah, City Kitty, what's up? See you coming through here also. CH, welcome in, welcome in. Suzanne Barnett, wow, 2 months. That is amazing. And I'm also going to hit the bells this morning. But let me give you a happy anniversary, ma'am. Thank you very much. I really appreciate all the support. 2 months is absolutely amazing. That's crazy to be hanging out with me for that long. So I'm a bit of a crazy person. I'm a little bit unhinged, if you will. Where's the pickles coming through here this morning? Dizzy coming through here this morning. Dizzy, I appreciate the shit out of that share. Seeking Justice, thank you so much. Dave coming through here. Good morning, everybody. Let's get the bells out of the way. Let's get the bells rolling. First and foremost. Oh, they're not working. Hold on. I see that. What's going on with these bells? Boom, boom. Let's try this. Oh, wrong one. Ladies and gentlemen, now entering the contest. There they are. Let me turn those things up a little bit. Boom! Shakes the soul deep inside the Murder Church morning bells, if you will. If you know what I'm saying, Daddy. I think you do. There we go. Shelly, I saw you woke up this morning. She's ready to get her day started. Gambies, good morning, good morning. Everybody, Todd, good morning. Everybody rolling in, appreciate it. Kathy sliding in the pew. Thank you so much, Kathy. Appreciate it. Laura from Australia, deep under. Got a full house coming in. Make yourself comfortable. Love it, love it, love it. Thank y'all so much. If you guys get a chance, go and check out yesterday's live stream. We did a special on Alec Baldwin and had a lot of guests on here, a lot of different channels, and a couple of experts as well. So it was a really good debate, and went out on a limb and had a large guest list and a large show, and I'm lucky to have that many people that were willing to come on. But also went out on a limb in the way that I'd put my thought process on the way Alec Baldwin was charged, and I personally think that it is bullshit. I know a lot of people have different opinions on that, and the expert had a completely different opinion on that. But yeah, go check it out. It's still a really cool conversation. But yeah, let's get started here this morning. I appreciate it, guys. Let's rock and roll. I do have to go make some coffee also. I do have to go make some of the old coffee. A cup of Joe. It's my own fault what I've been doing on Sundays, because I used to come down with the coffee, right? Well, I added 20 more minutes to sleeping on Sundays. I also didn't go to sleep till like 3 in the morning. I was up all night long like an idiot. Also because it's vacation. But I digress. Those extra 20 minutes are amazing, right? You get to kind of sleep in a little bit, but those extra 20 minutes I'd be able to do a few extra things, including coffee. So, all right, guys, let's go. Let's get in here. Love you guys. I'm going to be in the chat until I get back down here with the coffee. And let's rock.
All right. Back on the record, the parties are present. The jurors and the alternates are not. Dealing with two issues.
Only way to really start it.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yeah, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
The first issue is the admissibility of the recording of the conversation of Mr. de Souza on February 3rd, and whether there are grounds for admissibility. I would point out that very clearly, this morning and this afternoon, Mr. Brunon, you have attempted to impeach the witness with the fact that his immigration status and whether he's tailoring his testimony.
Stacy, thank you for that share.
Because of his being grateful to the district attorney. That's been both very explicit and implicit. This conversation, which was recorded right after the death of Ms. Clarkson, certainly can be used to show that his story was given before there was any possible motivation to, quote, please the district attorney. There was no immigration question raised. The district attorney was not a part of the case. And this, in essence, is a consistent statement, certainly, if not in whole, in a majority. And the district attorney may show it. One, for that, I'm not done, for that reason. That's okay. Number two, you have clearly raised the question of the witness's ability to understand the English language. The jury can judge for themselves by listening to the tape as to whether at the time of this incident, because you have pointed out that he has been this is now over 4 years ago, and he has continued to learn English, as to what his understanding was at the time of the incident. This is a very clear indication of how good or how poor his understanding of the English language is. The only concern would be, is there anything in the taped interview, one that would be unduly prejudicial and outweigh its probative value? First of all, much of it is admissible as either a prior consistent statement, and while portions have not been specifically challenged, the probative value, based on the issues you have weighed, far outweighs any prejudicial value in it as far as I can see. So I am, at this point, going to allow the playing of the tape recording.
I made my ruling, now you can argue.
Sure. Well, you had a chance, you argued at the bench.
Well, but, it's kind of...
If you want to make a record, you certainly may.
I would like to. Judge, there are portions of the transcript that address issues that I raised in my cross-examination, and I can see that. And insofar as the prosecution would like to play those portions, I would concede that as well. But the vast majority of that tape, it deals with nothing that I raised on cross-examination. And what it does is it allows Mr. de Souza to go into the jury room as part of deliberations and repeat his story as many times as the jury wants to hear it, without any right of confrontation or cross-examination. We can't rebut that. It's no different than if we would have had a witness that made a statement and something inconsistent was raised, and we said, well, fine, let's offer the whole tape of that witness's statement so the jury can listen to our witness over and over and over again, testify, or at least talk about the events that he testified about. That statement doesn't contain any of the inconsistencies, or doesn't contain many of the inconsistencies that came from the grand jury or from the earlier statement to Kennedy and Pineda. And what it does, it infects the record with this tremendous amount of hearsay that isn't rehabilitation to any inconsistent statement I made. Now, the next issue is his English ability. We can play the admissible parts, the parts that are clearly admissible, and that would illustrate his English-speaking ability. To then add the additional 90+% of not rehabilitating testimony to further show the same point is cumulative and it's prejudicial. So the part that's probative is the limited part that rehabilitates him on the inconsistent part, not all of the other parts that we didn't ask him a single question about. And it just, I mean, it is hearsay. There's no doubt it's hearsay, and it does deny us the right to confront, and it's unnecessary, and therefore it's unduly prejudicial.
Well, first of all, you can if this tape is played, you can cross-examine him on anything you want. He's still here. He hasn't left. He's still in the building.
Well, can we videotape my cross and send it in? I mean, that's the rehabilitation. That's the portion of confrontation.
You know, when you attack a witness's credibility and his motivation, then unfortunately you run the risk of showing that the motivation didn't exist the way you say it did. And that's something that, you made that decision.
Well, first of all, attacking a witness's credibility doesn't open the doors to every prior statement he's ever made.
No, it doesn't. But in this case, you very specifically attacked it on a specific ground, which this tape, certainly it can be argued, rebuts.
Well, except for the fact that there's not one question or statement in the tape about his immigration status. So it certainly doesn't rebut any question I've asked.
How could it? The status wasn't even in question at the time.
Well, but see, we disagree here. We disagree, Your Honor. He knew in February of 2003 that he was out of status. He'd been working for years. The first person that found that out, the first official person that found that out, would have produced the result that got produced. And he's a sophisticated enough individual to know that working in and of itself would have violated the condition of his visa. He already testified he knew that. So he knew he was working. He was talking to the officers about working. So it doesn't rehabilitate his state of mind on immigration. It's just a very lengthy recounting of a statement that was designed to produce evidence against Mr. Spector and didn't allow any defense input.
All right, thank you. People wish to be heard?
No, Your Honor.
All right, I'm sorry, Mr. Brunon, you have not convinced me that the ruling is incorrect, so the tape may be played. I need to see counsel, however, at the bench concerning the other matter that was raised.
Yes, Your Honor.
In light of the tape, we're going to ask you, before the jury comes in, to order some witnesses back.
All right. You want to do that right now?
Sure. I think we're standing right outside.
Yes.
Should we go ahead and protest?
You can start coming up, and we'll just order the witnesses back.
Your Honor, yes, we have two witnesses. Unfortunately, things just got a little bit longer, folks. I apologize. We're going to ask you to be ordered back for tomorrow. Would you please state your names to the judge, please?
Sandra Hill.
Gamaliel Catalan.
Could you spell that, please?
First name Gamaliel, Catalan, Catala.
Thank you. Each of you, thank you for being here. We are still running with the other witness, if you will, so 9:30 tomorrow morning.
Your Honor, I've just been told with a caveat with Ms. Hill, I have no objection if Ms. Hill coordinates with Mr. Dixon to have another custodian in her stead.
Or on call, as the case may be, or if your testimony is covered by another witness, that'll be fine. Okay?
One with counsel that we may...
Yes.
We may be able to stipulate, Your Honor.
Yes.
We'll talk to the witnesses.
And if we...
We're on call. If the district attorney should not require your presence by a phone call tonight, then you need not appear.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't you keep in mind the admonition, step back into the jury room. There's a technician coming down or some support staff to try to help. If we can fix the problem very quickly, we will. If not, we'll go to plan B, whatever that might be. All right, we'll take a brief recess. And are you ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you for your patience, Your Honor.
No problem.
With the court's permission, I'd like to play what's been previously marked as People's 34 and hand out the attendant transcripts that have been, one of which has been previously marked as People's 35. Mr. De Souza, one quick question before we begin. I may just, I don't know if there's a pause button on this fancy equipment. I may ask you at the end of this whether or not you recognize who's depicted in the video. If we can stop this very quickly, I'll ask you one or two quick questions before we get started, okay? Whenever you're ready. Okay, having stopped that, Your Honor, may the record reflect that I've played maybe 20 seconds of what's been previously marked as People's 34, if I may inquire. Yes. Mr. De Souza, did you recognize the person depicted on that video?
Yes,
Who was that?
it was me.
Okay. Was that a live video of the, let me rephrase that. Is that a copy of a video taken when you were interviewed by Detective Tomlin in Fournier?
I think so.
Okay. Is that the same interview that you've referred to when you've been asked questions by me and asked questions by Mr. Brunon?
Yes.
With that foundation, Your Honor, with the court's permission, may Mr. De Souza step off the witness stand given the length of the video?
Yes.
Mr. De Souza, why don't you make yourself comfortable in the front row, that way you don't have to sit up on the witness stand the entire time. Whenever you're ready.
I know it's very traumatic, obviously, what you did. Okay. First of all, you understand English very well? Okay, so please slow. Okay. If at any time during this interview, at any time, you don't understand, just tell us. I don't understand. I'll try to repeat it or maybe try something different, okay? Okay. We're just going to take down some preliminary information, your name and your address and things like that. I know you've probably given that to other people, but with a detective, okay? Thank you. So your first name is? Adriano. Adriano. A-D-R-I-A-N-O? Yes. Okay. Middle name?
Duin, D-U-I-N.
Okay.
And De Souza, D-E space S-O-U-Z-A.
De Souza?
O-U-Z-A. O-U-Z-A. Yes.
Okay. And what's your date of birth?
It's April 11/70.
4/11/70. Okay. And what is your address?
It's 9303 National Boulevard.
Is that an apartment number?
No, it's a house.
A house. Yeah. And what city is that?
It's LA.
Is that Vancouver City or?
It's Vancouver City, that is 90034. This is called.
Okay. And your home phone number?
It's 310-876-2676.
I'm sorry, 876?
2676.
Yeah. And what's your cell phone number?
It's at 310-488-5548.
Now, is that your cell phone?
Yes, my
Or
son.
who do you have it through? What company? Do you know?
It's Verizon.
Verizon?
Yes.
Do you have a pager?
No.
And work? Who do you work for?
I'm a private driver. I work for different clients.
Do you have a business card or no? Okay, so you just personal driver?
Yeah.
So whatever client?
I worked in two small companies in the past, Express Shuttle and 21st Century Limo. Then I quit and I find clients.
On your own?
Yeah, and I was working the grill on the alley, the restaurant.
Which one?
The grill.
The grill?
Yeah, on the alley. And down the hills.
In Beverly Hills, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't work there anymore either?
No, sometimes I help my friends there.
Oh, okay. Okay. And, okay, so you are, was the person you drove last night, is that a regular client for you?
I started to drive for this guy like 3 months ago.
3 months?
Yeah.
And how did you meet? How did you?
Because I was working over here in that place in the Grill Alley.
Okay.
And I met Dylan. Dylan is regular driver. I think he is driving for this guy more than 9 years.
Okay.
And when he can't drive, I drive.
Okay.
Sometimes both can drive, and he usually calls the company. I don't know what company.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay, so about 3 months ago, roughly,
Yeah.
you met through your friend, and you drive sometimes, he drives sometimes?
Yes.
Okay. Over that period of 3 months, how many times total do you think you've driven?
I think I have my laptop. The laptop is inside the car. My car is over there.
Okay, what car is yours?
It's a red Crown Victoria.
Red Corolla?
No, Crown Victoria. It's like a
Oh, Crown Victoria.
Yeah,
Ford Crown Victoria. Okay. And it's parked on the property?
Yes.
Okay. And you have a laptop in there that has what his appointment?
No, I have like I put everything in Excel, the software.
Right.
And I have the trips that I made with him.
Okay. And do you have an estimate how many times? Mais ou menos.
Let me see, last month. Let me see. Times I think 10 times, 11 times last month.
That's fine. The last month?
Yeah, last month.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, you don't, I'm asking for an estimate. If you don't know exactly, that's okay. Now, this evening, or last evening, I should say, how is it that you got to work last night or yesterday? Did he tell you, or how did that work?
His secretary called me about 4:30. He usually do that before like 2 hours, 3 hours to start the job. They call me, and that's the problem because sometimes he
Last minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this time, this Sunday, then I can do this job. Then I went to his house and I arrived there about 15 to 7.
Okay.
And switched the cars. I parked my car over there. And this is the new car, the first time that I'm driving this car. And then I opened the garage, take this car off.
Now, which car is this that we're talking about now?
It's a black Mercedes, that was brand new.
Brand new?
Yeah.
Okay, now, when we had just gone over to the house, there's one at the, where the front would be.
Yeah, I parked it over there.
Is that the one that has paper plates on the back, Fletcher Jones?
Yeah.
That's the car?
Yeah, that's
Okay. Okay, so you arrive about 7:30?
No, I arrived at 6:45.
6:45, okay.
I switched the car, 7 o'clock, I was ready to go.
Okay, now, how do you switch the cars? Do you have keys to the garages or keys?
No, the garage outside, they have a button. You press the button, the garage open.
Okay.
Then you go inside, the keys always inside, in the van or ready to.
Okay, so you don't have to contact the owner.
No.
You just go right where this garage, you know where it's at, you've been there before.
Yeah, I just.
Thanks everybody for being here.
The bell ring.
I appreciate it. I had to go up and make some coffee real quick. Woo! What's going on? See a lot of people's come in since I started this morning. Appreciate it. Bobby Hansen, I see you. Mosh came through. Bonnie Bailey, everyone coming through. Appreciate it. Shannon coming through. Keeping rolling, baby.
On the top
Tara
of
Dusty.
on the baseball gate just to get in.
Just to get in.
And then I have to see turn to the camera.
Okay.
You can see me and then you open the gate like.
I gotcha.
Okay.
So at 6:45, when you press the button for the first gate to be allowed in, is there a voice? Do you talk back?
No.
No.
You never talk.
You never talk.
Kathy sent me $420 via Cash App to get on the wheel. So we're one name off from a spin. So yeah, Kathy, thank you very much. Always coming through the Cash App. Appreciate that. Don't forget the Cash App, the Venmo, all that is open. Gifting memberships, supers, all that get you on the wheel. And we're one name away from a shirt giveaway right now.
Okay,
Appreciate
so you don't know who let you in at that point?
No.
Okay. So continue on. You go in and you go to the garage. By 7 o'clock, you've exchanged cars.
She said 4:20.
You've gone where?
Perfect.
Property. Where have you gone?
I usually do you have can I write?
Sure.
I think it's
Okay, here, let me give you a pen.
and this is in the property. You have the ramp over here, and the gate, the baseball gate, I think it's here.
Okay.
And I have a stairs here to go to the...
That's the long stairway to
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I usually ring the bell here and go all the way up and park my car here.
Okay.
And I usually go to this garage. They have a whole spot inside, but I think they went to check out because the last time
Glasses up.
we had a big noise in the back, and I was afraid to drive this car again.
You know about the Rolls Royce,
Yeah, I think it. Then he bought a new car and put the car in this garage.
Okay.
The secretary told me that it's going to be in the first garage. Then I press the button, make a windows here, and stop right here. I'll have a phone here. And I usually park the car right here.
Okay.
This is the front.
Okay.
And at this time you have a problem here. That's the self-clear car. Crawler. Yes.
Okay.
This one. Then we are ready to go. We usually do that, me and Dylan.
Okay.
And then I wait outside here. And at 7 o'clock here, he went out and I opened the door.
Okay.
I get in and I got in the car and he told me, I want to go to...
Oh, shit. Filling her up. Shannon took the last spot of this will, gifting out a membership. Bobby Hansen getting that thing. Welcome to the party. Hell yeah. Navy Grog's in the chat. Let's go. Navy Grog's in the chat. Let me get you on here, Shannon. I see some others coming behind, which will start a new will. But yeah, Shannon on this son of a bitch with a gifted membership. Thank you so much. And the possibility of winning a free shirt from the PubliclyBuzzed.com merch store. Freaking love it. Hell yeah. And then I'm going to put new will. And then I will start working on the new one right now, and then we'll get a spin going. Thank you so much. And then right behind that was Gambies with the $1.99. Thank you, Gambies. And I got those bells out of the way this morning. I sometimes forget. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And then Sarah coming through. What did she say? Me. Oh, man. Okay, you missed the last will. You're going to be on the next will, and we'll see if we can get that thing filled up today. Thank y'all so much. Love it. I'll start filling out this new one. We'll go get a spin going this morning. We'll get a shirt out here.
His friend's house is at 80. If you have the map, I can show you the exactly address.
Okay, we'll do that.
We'll have the number.
Okay.
And we did that. And to go there, it doesn't like to go to 101. Okay, and 101. He usually he likes to go to 134. Then we take 134 until 101. Make it in Laurel, yeah.
Work on this wheel.
Make a right and move.
I want coffee. Cools down just slightly.
I don't remember the name.
Okay, left on Laurel King, right on Moore Park?
Yeah, right on Moore Park. Yeah.
And then...
And before the light that you have in Moore Park in that direction, you make a left in the last street. I don't know the name. Well, the last street for sure. And the next block on the corner going to be the...
Yeah, we'll get a map for you, and you can see it. So this is where you went last night, first thing?
Yeah, the first lady.
First lady?
Yeah, the first lady.
And that was at, you left the home approximately 7?
This home?
This home?
Yeah.
And then drove straight to this address you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure what time we got home from. I was there maybe 7:45. I'm not sure. Maybe 7:40. And then he usually go inside the house. Spend like 5 minutes.
Shit, just a shout out real quick. Terry and Dusty coming through and giving the share on the old X machine. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
The lady,
keeping it rolling, baby.
At the same time, and I open the doors. They get in, I close the doors, and
out here. We out here.
The rest of the day was work.
Okay.
Know what they say?
And we stopped over there.
Jen D in the house. Get the hell in here.
Good
morning.
Put some gas, returned to the car.
Starting a new shirt wheel.
Wait over there. I parked in the horizontal because my friend works there, and then I can park over there. Okay, you can use the car there.
Okay.
Then, let me see how many times we spent there.
Do you know what this woman's name is?
I don't.
Okay, go ahead.
I did this job before.
Okay.
For the same house.
Hey, Sarah, you're already on this wheel, too, just so you know.
Okay. And I think we spent there like 2 hours maybe.
Okay.
Then they came, he had the car, and he didn't say anything. Then when he doesn't say anything, I usually go to the place that we came, like the lady's house.
Oh, okay.
And then I make left and Beverly Drive, take a cold water can until the Universal City and left the lady there. And I think he had another appointment or another.
Do you know what time that was? I'm sorry.
I think I left the restaurant 10 o'clock, 10 something.
Okay.
And I think we arrived in Studio City maybe 10:20, 10:30.
Will ready to rock.
Then I think he had
Good morning, Majestic Unicorn.
Traders Week. It's another restaurant on Santa Monica and Wilshire.
Okay.
So we have our hotel Beverly Hills on. It's on the border of Beverly Hills.
Of that hotel?
Yeah.
Okay.
With another lady.
Okay.
Then we dropped that lady in Studio City, and then I returned to the grill, and I thought we have to go to the grill. Okay. And I thought that on Saturday they usually close at 10:30. I don't know why.
Just so you don't forget, Ghoul Phil Spector still lurks in your nightmares.
About 11 o'clock. And the lady, one of the waiters that worked inside, getting the car. I think he
Mike's in there. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'm sorry, just so I'm clear, because I'm not sure about this thing with Trader's Vic. Have they gone there yet? Okay, let me just so we understand. Okay. You, after the grill, at about 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I heard the argument at the beginning. They're trying to get this out. So I guess the jury couldn't, in deliberations, revisit this? Because that makes a lot of sense. Because he's foreign?
The lady back to Studio City.
Yeah.
Dropped her off.
Yeah.
Now you and by the way, what's his name? Phil Spector, Mr. Spector. You and him now leave the lady's house, go back to the grill, or do you go to Trader's Vic? I'm with you.
First we went to the grill. He told me, let's go to the grill.
You went back to the grill.
Yeah.
So just you and him went back to the grill. Okay.
Then they stopped in the grill. The lady came in.
Now, when you say this lady, is this a waitress?
Yeah.
Do you know her name?
I don't know her name. I know her.
You know her because you work there sometimes?
Outside, yeah.
What does she look like?
She's blonde, like the hair is like this size.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really I agree, and I can kind of make it out, but that's more so, the old footage combined with, he is kind of hard to understand. He's clear as day when he's testifying, but you add that with the sound quality of this video, and it does make it hard to understand.
And about how old?
30, like my age.
I hear like some crackling in there, but I think it's on their side, because I usually don't hear the crackling. I'm going to change it anyways. I think that's
okay.
just in the audio of the video.
When she got in, he told me, let's go to the
It sounds like a fan is buzzing behind it while he speaks. That doesn't help.
And we stopped there, and the valet party was closing. Then I can leave the car in the front, in the door.
If everyone's cool with that, you guys want to skip the video? I mean, we've seen a lot of testimony from Adriano, and it's probably for the remainder of this video. I am down with that if everybody else is. I'll leave that up to some folks here. Should I put a poll up for that?
15 minutes outside.
I'm not against that.
And then she came with the lady, and we went to
Let the people decide.
Is that also in
the restaurant on Santa Monica and Doheny.
Santa Monica and Doheny? Okay.
North side of Santa Monica.
Okay. And now when you say you went, who all went now at that point?
The
lady, same waitress, yourself, and Mr. Spector.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we're getting them. I'll see y'all. Let's get the votes in. I'll give you 2 seconds.
We went there.
I think everyone's cool with that. I mean, we've heard a lot of testimony from Adriano on the stand, literally days of it here on our church. So, all right, yeah, that's enough for me. That's enough for me. And no disrespect to this man whatsoever. I do want to just move forward just to make sure we don't miss anything in court with Judge Diehard, and that doesn't appear that we are. not. So we are going to move ahead. We're going to go to video 52, which is the last one, at least, unless they bring him back, of Adriano de Souza. Yeah, good call on that. That was a little hard to understand. Oh, looks like Mike.
Yeah, record will reflect.
There could be some more in here. We'll see what's up. This is at hour 17. We're going to keep rolling with this. Before we do that, I am going to go ahead and get a wheel spin out of the way, though. Let's go ahead and get a winner, huh? For some new merch, baby. What does everybody think about that? I got to get the wheel over there. Give me 1 second. It's a good spin. Laura! Laura just won another shirt. Will Gate last week, or on Tuesday night's Murder Church. Laura won. Had a lot of controversy. Laura just won another shirt. 2 shirts in the same week. Holy crap. That's fucking cool. All right. All right. Boom, Laura. Yes, if you're not in here, I will get with you. I'll put your name in order here. And you have another shirt on the way, baby. Let's rock and roll. Love it. Thank y'all so much.
Hold up. Hold up. Hold up.
Yes.
Reflect that the defendant is present with his counsel.
Quiet, please.
The district attorneys are present. The jurors and the alternates are not present. We have had a hearing in chambers with juror number 6 just to finalize
we're on a streak.
His comments that were made in open court. He brought in the emails that he had spoken of. We reviewed the emails. When I say we, I mean myself and counsel. I asked him certain questions. We're all
satisfied. Through here real quick, just to up to date where I am currently on with shipping and everything. Sleuth Investigates just went out. Gail, yours is coming to me and then going to you in Canada. And then I'm going to be up to Madeline's first shirt and then MJ's shirt that she won. So that's just about where we're at right now. And Bonnie Bailey, I still need a shirt from you. Your first shirt went out, Bonnie, and then you won another one. So I need your second shirt. If you would get with me on that, that'd be sweet.
Satisfied unless somebody wishes to be heard that no improprieties took place on behalf of the juror. The contacts of the reporter certainly are questionable at the least, as the Times recognized when it sent me that letter back when this happened. In any event, the hearing will be part of the transcript, tomorrow's transcript, and can be reviewed. And I will file the emails and the cover letter written by the juror. I have redacted the name of the juror out, and I have redacted out the email address of the juror as well as the email and phone number address of the reporter. Everything else is in. All right, we ready to start with the jury? Yes? All right, let's bring out the jurors.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, the record will now reflect the presence of the jurors and the alternates, and we will resume with the playing of the last exhibit, which is People's 30. Let's see, People's 34.
Yes, Your Honor, and I believe to get everybody on the same page, literally and figuratively, I think we left off at page 38,
okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
37.
Oh, baby, baby. Oops, Laura did it again. I'm going to burn my face off with this coffee. God, I'm not done with it. I might just continue skipping a little bit. Dear Lord. Wow, might get through a whole nother video pretty easily here.
All right.
Okay.
You're right.
Here we go.
All right, that concludes the playing of the videotape. And ladies and gentlemen, as to the transcript, once again, you're admonished, it's a guide for you. I think you'll note that in the transcript, there are some areas where the transcriber could not hear what was said or could not translate it or transcribe it appropriately, so they put in little asterisks. So again, it's what you hear on the tape that is controlling. The transcript is just a guide. Counsel, before the witness retakes the stand, would you approach the bench, please?
The transcripts have been collected from the jurors.
Yes. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you a further admonition. At the close of the case, I will instruct you on how to consider prior consistent and inconsistent statements. You'll be given an instruction on how to consider that. And to the degree that any statements in this tape that you just saw were either consistent or inconsistent with the witness's testimony, you'll consider that in light of the instruction I give you. As to anything in the tape recording that has not been testified to, you should consider it for the following purpose: to show how well the witness understands and is able to respond to the English language, and that's the reason that it was shown for you, along with the use of consistent and inconsistent statements. With that in mind, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. We would ask, with the court's permission, to
Alan Jackson, wake everybody up,
Mr.
too.
De Souza to the stand briefly.
All right, sir, if you would. You're still under oath.
Time to roll a probably nothing. Put some of those guys in the chat. Men tornadoes, baby.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. De Souza, you indicated on the videotape transcript, I'm sorry, the videotape, along with which there was a transcript, that your car was still at the location at Mr. Spector's house. Is that right?
Yes.
How did you get to the police station?
I think that Detective Pineda gave me a ride.
All right, in a police car?
Yeah, it was a police car, but was not like a black and white.
Okay, like a detective car?
Yes.
All right. Approximately what time, I know you've already indicated to the jurors that you were still on the phone with 911 when you first saw the police arrive at the location, correct?
Yes.
About what time was that?
Around 5:10 probably.
Okay, just after 5 o'clock in the morning?
Oh, yes.
And at some point, Mr. De Souza, were you still at the location when you saw Mr. Spector again, after the time that you saw him with the gun in his hand? Did you see him again at that location?
Yes.
When was that?
Around 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, and what were the circumstances?
Ali was on yesterday's show. If anybody hasn't seen yesterday's Alec Baldwin show, go check that out.
Were bringing him out.
All right. So the next time you saw Mr. Spector was somewhere around an hour later when Mr. Spector was being escorted down to a police car, correct?
Yes.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross or recross?
Recross, you motherfucker.
Mr. Souza, I just have a few areas that I want to try to clear up if we can. In the transcript, it played something. There was played something that we had discussed yesterday, and that was how sure you were about what you heard at the doorway. And the counsel, just once again, I'm going to go to page 55 of the transcript, and the transcript.
Shit, that is very high percentage.
Attempting to transcribe, that is, write down what the video said. Well, let me just ask you a preliminary question before I get into this. When you were sitting here watching the video, did you have a transcript to follow along with?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I've even seen that high of a percentage at my spot.
Officers at that page ask you about when Mr. Spector came out of the house at about 5 in the morning. And they ask you, and he says what to you again? He says, and that's Detective Fournier, and De Souza says, I think I killed someone or somebody. Fournier, I killed somebody? A question. De Souza, yeah, somebody. Fournier, okay. Then you say, I think so. I think, I'm not sure. And then you said, it's my English. When you told Detective Fournier that morning, it was about 10 o'clock in the morning when they were talking to you, maybe 20 minutes after 10. Is that right?
Yeah, for the time in the tape, yes.
Okay. And to your recollection, is that about the correct time?
I think so, I'm not sure.
Okay, but we're talking maybe 5 hours after the incident, right?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, you said, I think so, I think, I'm not sure, correct?
Yes.
And at that point, that was the truth, was it not, that you were not sure about what?
Yes, I was talking about I think he didn't understand what I said.
Well, whether we don't know what he understood because he's not here, but we do know what you said, and you said, I'm not sure. About,
Yes, I said that.
yeah, and that was in response to him asking you
I can't wait till we get past
what
this
Mr.
fucking
Spector had just said, correct?
Yes,
Just
I
because
said
of
this
this
sentence
fucking
many times.
attorney.
Okay, I know you did, but you also said, when Mr. Fournier asked you exactly what was said, I'm not sure, correct?
I said that.
All right, now, I know now you believe that those are the exact words. That's your belief.
Objection. I'm going to object to counsel editorializing.
Sustained to the form of the question.
You told us the other day that that's what you heard. That's what you believe to be the exact words you heard, correct?
Objection to the form of the question. He didn't say that's what he believed. He said that's what he heard.
Sustained to the form of the question.
Your state of mind is those were the words that were said, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, have you made a mistake in the past about hearing something that you thought was a certain way and then later found out you heard it wrong or you misunderstood it or you remembered it wrong? Have you ever made that kind of mistake?
Oh, yes.
Now, before the mistake was corrected, before you found the correct fact, you were sure that you knew whatever the fact was that you were mistaken about, right?
Objection. This is vague.
I think he can answer. Do you understand the question?
No, could you repeat that?
All right.
We all make mistakes. It happens. Maybe not all of us, Judge. Most of us make mistakes. And before you realize it's a mistake,
judge's dick
you're
down,
very
you son of a
sure
bitch.
that you know whatever the fact is, correct?
Yes.
And then when you find out that you were mistaken, you think, gee, how did I ever make that mistake? How did I misunderstand that? Have you had that experience in the past?
Yes.
And one of the ways you can make a mistake
Mimsy, get
is
the hell
if
in
you're
here.
not sure about something. Isn't that right?
Drew,
yes.
get the hell in here.
So when you told the Detective Fournier, when he asked you, what did he say? And you said, I killed somebody. And you said, I think so. I think, I'm not sure. That was your state of mind 5 hours after the incident, wasn't it?
Like I said, I told him.
He can't control, he can't stop
because I thought
himself.
that he was not understand what I said.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you again about the condition of Mr. Spector at that same point in time, at 5 in the morning. In the transcript that we just heard, you said he was drunk. Is that right? Do you recall hearing that on the tape?
Yes.
And what you said was that, and I'm on page 59, counsel, he came out of the house and he made like a stupid face, and they asked you to explain, and you made an expression that you explained, you understood to mean that he was confused about what happened, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're at that point in time, right? And Mr. Fournier, Detective Fournier, said, well, show me that face. What did he do? Like, I don't know, like what, or like? And you said, yeah. So you agreed that it was like, I don't know what happened, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then
Cool. Bonnie Bailey, I just got your email for the next shirt. Hell yeah. Oh, she picked the Hanging and Banging shirt. Fuck yeah. And anybody, I'm going to do it right now and give a shit. Anybody that hasn't seen the new Hanging and Banging shirt, let's fucking go. Always dropping new merch in this son of a bitch too for you guys. And I think Publicly Buzzed has the dankest version in the streets of true crime.
You said,
Got you, buddy.
yeah, and Fournier said, huh, and then you said he was drunk. Remember that?
Yes.
So this is right after the stupid face that you say he was drunk, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, just a few hours before that, you talked about that same point in time where Mr. Spector opened the back door and you told the officers, Kennedy and Pineda, that you thought he was drunk. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember the words that you used?
No.
May I approach? And I'm going to show him Kennedy Pineda transcript page 3. Read this to yourself so that you know what point in time you were talking about.
Damn, Shannon, that's crazy. Wow, there has been a lot of celebrities dying here recently. Richard Simmons died yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Dude, I was looking at, yeah, I think it was yesterday because his birthday was the day before that. I went and looked at his X account, his Twitter account, and he was tweeting on his birthday and thanking everybody for the happy well wishes. And like, it seemed like he was tweeting all day too. That's so crazy.
And when
so quick how it can happen. You never know, man.
Mr. Spector opened the door,
never freaking know.
And he came out and made an expression like he didn't know what happened. What did you say to the officers about his condition of sobriety?
Sinead, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Hope you have a good work day.
Drunk, completely drunk, correct?
Yes.
Now, in the transcript, when you were accounting or recounting what happened when Miss Clarkson and Mr. Spector came out of the House of Blues, you told the police that the first person to ask Miss Clarkson to accompany you, and Mr. Spector, that being
I need that shirt too.
Plural you, was yourself. And that may have been the worst question I've ever asked in my life. Let me start over, if I may, Your Honor. Mr. De Souza, when you listened to the tape, did you hear that the first person to ask Ms. Clarkson to accompany you was yourself? When you asked, you said, they were coming out, and I asked, you are going with us? And she told me, no, I'm not going. I have to pick up, the guy's going to pick up my car. You recall that? And counsel, I'm sorry, that's page 35 of the transcript. Do you recall that portion of the transcript and the video?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. And is that what happened, that you were the first person to ask her if she was going to go with you?
Yeah, should be, sir. I didn't remember.
Okay, so that is what happened?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as that transcript goes on, you said, Ms. Clarkson then accepted the ride right away, correct? You said in the transcript that after you asked the question of, are you going to go with us, she accepted the ride with you right away, right?
I don't know, like the correct time of that, but they had like some conversation before. Mr. Spector asked her before. I don't know if you were talking about in front of House of Blues, if you were...
Okay, well, why don't I show you the transcript so you can find the context. And I'm going to show them probably go 35 through 37, or 38 even. Mr. De Souza, I'm going to place this here before you. Ignore the little lines and so forth.
Okay.
Starting at about line 19, I think you'll find that in context, that's when they came to your car. And then if you read through to page 38, about where the underlining ends. Questions about that sequence of events, okay?
Okay.
That portion of the tape was where you were describing what happened when Mr. Spector and Miss Clarkson came out of the House Blues and came to the car that you were driving, right?
Yes.
The first thing that happened is you said, are you going to ride with us? Correct?
Yes.
And thereafter, Miss Clarkson accepted the ride, correct?
Yes, but I think Mrs. Spector asked her. I don't have like all of the details. I can't remember everything, but I remember that Mrs. Spector asked her to.
Okay. Well.
So Mr. Spector
asked her.
Okay. The way you recounted it is you asked her if she wanted to ride, and she accepted the ride right away, correct?
Yes.
And then thereafter, you heard the conversation between Mr. Spector and Miss Clarkson, and you described him as saying, my castle is beautiful, you have to know, and apparently he was inviting her to come to the castle, correct?
Yes, he did before too.
Okay. Now, in this entire account, you never say that he was insisting that she come to the castle, do you?
No, but he asked more than once.
Okay. Your recollection was that he asked her to visit the castle maybe 2 or perhaps 3 times. Is that right?
Yes.
And that was in the course of riding from the House of the Blues to the parking structure, right?
Still on Adriano.
Outside of the car,
This is his last video.
Okay, so from outside the car into the car, and then however long.
15 minutes left.
What are we talking about? 5 or 10 minutes?
Move on here.
Less is not too far, I think.
Pretty much
What's your
zoned out
best
of this
estimate?
one because the attorneys have just been, beating him over the head with bullshit so far. I mean, we've got the story basically.
Around 5 minutes.
Basically,
So in
we've got
5
the story
minutes,
for
he asked
sure.
her 2 or 3 times to visit the castle. Is that right?
Yes.
And then while you were in the parking structure, that's where she said,
take him down with this language.
yeah, I want to go to the castle. I want to take a drink with him. I really need to take a drink because I worked all night, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so and that's basically the sequence of what happened, right?
Yes.
Now,
See old Phil back there. Let's get a dead-on shot of Phil just real quick. Old Phil. There he is.
Mr. Jackson
There you see him back
asked
there,
you
rocking the
just
blue
a couple
and
moments
white suit
ago
today.
about when you
Actually, it
observed.
kind of looks like the same suit he's got in this picture with a different wig in the lower third here.
Police officers escort Mr. Spector out of the house at about 6 in the morning on the 3rd of February. Remember that?
Yes.
And in the transcript, you described that incident as he was not dressed the same at that point. He had a black shirt on at that point. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And I assume that you don't know what happened to the white jacket that you'd seen him with an hour earlier.
I have no idea.
Okay. Now, also in the transcript, I noted that you said that when you were in the vehicle, you could hear the noise of the door. Do you remember saying that?
Yes.
Okay, so even though the radio may have been on in the car and even though the fountain was in the background, when the door opens, you can hear that, correct?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Well, you did tell the officers, and I'm on page 73, Counsel, if I was sleeping, I can hear the noise of the door.
Yeah, if it's there, yeah, I said that.
I'm sorry, say it again.
If it's there, yeah, I said that.
Well, I mean, is that the case? Can you hear the door?
Yeah, I think sometimes, yeah, sometimes not, yeah. I'm not sure if that time I heard that. I know that when he opened the door, I opened the car door.
And if you could hear the door open, I think I asked you the other day, you could hear screaming, yelling, arguing in the house, correct? If it was in that area behind the door?
If I'm outside of the car, yeah, probably yes.
In the transcript, when you described the revolver, you said it was black, correct?
Yes.
You didn't mention the brown handle, correct?
I did not.
Okay.
Throw it out.
Now, toward the end of the conversation with the officers, they described Mr. Spector as a wealthy man. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Do you know how they knew that? Had you had any discussion before the tape about whether or not Mr. Spector was a wealthy man?
No.
The answer will stand. The objection is over.
So you don't know where that information came from?
No.
And also in the tape, they told you that this was going to be a big case. It would gather publicity, news media might be interested in you, and so forth, correct?
Yes.
And at one point, you asked them to direct you. You said, I want, this is page 95, counsel, I want somebody to direct me. You remember making that statement?
Word church, baby.
Yes.
Direct you to do what?
To help me to explain what I have to do.
Okay. And shortly after, well, right after that, you said, I want somebody to direct me, and Detective Fournier said, right. De Souza, and I want, and then Fournier said, well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you. You saw what you did see, and you heard what you heard. Now, what that was isn't going to change tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, or a year from now, okay? Or, excuse me, correct? And you said,
I'm good for living in the time and age that
did you understand from that Detective Fournier may have been suggesting not to change your story? You know, what you said today, say it tomorrow, say it a week from tomorrow, say it a month. Did you understand him to be suggesting that to you?
Yeah, he's suggesting that I cannot, like, if I have to go to the court, I have to tell what I saw, what I heard. I understood that.
Okay. Did you understand him to be suggesting to you to stay with the story that you just told them?
No.
You don't know?
I understood that I have to go to the court, and you have to say this story again, to tell the story again.
Now, just the final thing. The other day, Mr. Jackson asked you some questions about your future immigration status, and I believe you
oh my God, he's gonna end
told
on
him
this.
that when this case is over, that the proceedings for your removal or deportation would resume. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Have you received any kind of document that tells you that?
No.
Has anybody from the government told you that that's what's going to happen?
No.
What are you basing that answer upon?
Because I already asked my lawyer about that.
Okay. Your lawyer said once this is over, the proceedings will resume?
Yeah, he's trying to do something else on my behalf.
Well, he's trying to use your role in the case to keep you in the country. Isn't that what he's trying to do?
That's right.
Excuse me? What's the objection?
It appears to call for speculation, and it doesn't. It may get into attorney-client privilege.
That's right. It may be privileged material.
Well, I'm not
You're asking for a conversation.
No, I didn't. I asked him what he was trying to do based on his understanding.
Well, but that may have to do with privilege, assuming any such conversation exists. But the bottom line is, you can, if you want to go into the area, I'll allow you, but make sure very definitively that it doesn't go into any possible privilege.
Mr. De Souza, don't answer any of the questions I'm going to ask you with what your attorney said, or what you said to your attorney, okay?
Okay.
Okay, all right. You said your attorney is trying to do something else for you, correct?
Yes.
That something else is to keep you in the country, correct?
Yes.
And is it your understanding that he's going to attempt to use your role in this case as a basis for keeping you in the country?
No.
Has anybody told you that at the end of the case you have to leave the country?
No.
So when you when you answered the question the other day that after the case you have to leave, was that just incorrect?
No, objection, that states the evidence.
The
Never
objection,
said after the case he has to leave.
well, it's not directly. The bottom line is, what is your belief is going to happen after this case is over?
The paper says that
Hopefully get to go to my bed and sleep. I feel like I've been held hostage here.
I have to go back to my country, but I think my lawyer has like some solutions for that.
All right?
Oh, Miss Dana, what's up? Get in here. Having a good morning.
And finally, the other day, you said that you could not leave the United States because of the trial. Is that what you said?
Nobody told me that, but yes, I think so.
Well, the real reason you can't leave is because once you leave, you can't get back in because you don't currently have a visa, correct?
I still have like right now expired. Yeah, right now I don't have any visa. Yeah.
All right. So if you leave, you can't get back in, correct?
It's not too difficult to get a visa, sir. If you have money, you can get a visa.
It's not too difficult to get a visa, sir, if you have the money.
Or if you have somebody willing to assist you with the government, you can get back in as well, correct?
Objection, it's argument.
Sustained.
Well, isn't it your understanding that if some official agency assists you with the immigration service, that can help you get back into the country? Don't you believe that?
Could be, I don't know if it's possible.
Coffee and a grog in the
Right,
chair.
thank you. That is my last question.
Thank God in heaven. Oh,
Very briefly, Your Honor.
Alan Jackson, just let him go. Good God.
Mr. De Souza, did you have permission to invite people back to the castle?
Your Honor, that's beyond anything I asked.
I'll allow him to reopen if it is. You may answer.
No.
Mr. Brunon asked you
Let
if
my man go.
you were the one who said something to Miss Clarkson about coming back or joining you and Mr. Spector back at the castle. You remember that question by Mr. Brunon?
Yes.
Did you invite Lana Clarkson back to Mr. Spector's castle?
No.
Who did?
Mr. Spector.
Did he do it once?
More.
Did he do it twice?
More than twice.
Did he do it 3 times?
Around 3 times.
When you were spoken to, and this is on the issue that Mr. Brunon just brought up just a second ago, when at the end of your interview, you saw the videotaped interview and listened to the audio portion of it, correct, Mr. De Souza?
Yes.
Mr. Brunon quoted a portion of the transcript, counsel, page 95. Actually, I'm sorry. Let me withdraw that. I'll get to that in just a second. Mr. De Souza, very briefly, do you remember saying when the detectives were asking for some of your personal information, and by the way, none of that personal information is still your personal information. Your cell phone's changed, your address has changed, correct?
Yes.
All right. You asked the detectives on page 95, you asked, do you think I'm in danger? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Were you nervous about being involved in this case?
Yes.
Were you scared?
Yes.
Did that have anything to do with your knowledge of Mr. Spector's position or his wealth?
Kind of, yes.
As a matter of fact, you said, Mr. De Souza, do you think I'm in danger because this guy is too rich?
Yes.
Do you remember Detective Fournier talking about whether or not it's a good idea to talk to the public or talk to the media when you're involved in a high-profile case? Do you remember Detective Fournier saying something about that?
Yes.
And do you remember your response being, oh my God? Something like that?
Yes, I saw that in the tape.
And Detective Fournier tried to calm you down and calm your nerves a little bit, did he not?
Yes.
Were you very nervous about this whole situation?
Yes.
Are you still somewhat nervous about this?
Yes, I don't like that.
You didn't ask to come to court last Wednesday,
It would be
on
horrible
Monday,
being in this
today, did you?
He's in a really interesting
You were served a
position, too.
subpoena, correct?
Yes.
An order by this
Yeah.
court, correct?
Yes.
Morning, morning.
Now turning to page 95, Mr. Brunon. Mr. Brunon asked you, or he actually quoted part of the tape, or part of the audio portion of the tape in the transcript, and he quoted the following, starting at line 16. Detective Fournier, actually starting at line 15, I'll start one sentence before that. At line 15, tell me if you remember this colloquy or this conversation between yourself and Detective Fournier that Mr. Brunon just quoted. Detective Fournier, well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you. You saw what you did see, and you heard what you heard. Now, what that was isn't going to change tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now. De Souza says, okay. Fournier, or a year from now, correct? Answer by you. Mm-hmm. Do you remember Mr. Brunon asking you about that?
Yes.
There was more to that conversation, though, wasn't there, Mr. De Souza?
Yes.
Detective Fournier went on to say, I mean, if you're telling us the truth, that's what you saw and heard. That's all you saw and heard. That's it. Your answer, okay. Detective Fournier, okay. You don't need to get yourself, worked up. The truth is the truth. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I saw on the tape.
All right. Did you understand Detective Fournier to be telling you all you have to do is simply tell the truth?
Yes.
Did you understand him to be saying if you're asked a week from now, just tell the truth?
Yes.
A month from now, just tell the truth?
Yes.
Or a year from now, Mr. De Souza, just tell the truth?
Yes.
It's been 4 years since you had this conversation with Detective Fournier, correct?
Yes.
Did you come here to tell the truth, Mr.
Yes.
De Souza? Are you telling the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Brunon finally asked you something about being mistaken. We're all human, Mr. De Souza. You agree with that?
Yes.
And we're all subject to mistakes, correct?
Yes.
Are you mistaken about what you heard Mr. Spector say when he stepped out of that doorway? He said, I think I killed somebody.
No.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Recall. All right, subject to recall, you may step down. Thank you for being here, sir. Again, keep in mind the admonition not to discuss the case with anyone except counsel in the case, and we will take a 15-minute recess. Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind the admonition.
Son of a bitch!
Woo! That was a long one. What do we got next here? Let's check it out. CHP 911 supervisor Sandra Hill takes the stand. We got 32 minutes with Sandra Hill, and then let me get that name updated as well on the ticker there.
SANDR.
Thanks everybody for hanging this morning. I really appreciate it. If you're coming in, if you're coming late and you maybe forgot, hit the old thumb down there. YouTube loves a tickle. Appreciate it. Share it out. Let people know. I did a post on X on Twitter. That would be great if you could just give that a share. And let people know you're hanging out on Publicly Buzzed. Let's keep going.
A. Hill, Hill. I'm a public safety dispatch supervisor for the California Highway Patrol.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Hill. I think you just answered my first question there. But it might throw me off, so I'm going to ask you again. What exactly do you do?
I am a public safety dispatch supervisor. We supervise dispatchers in our dispatch operations, and I have a administrative assignment, and I'm in charge of our computerized systems.
Why don't you just sit back there and pull the microphone a little closer to you, and we'll ask you a few more questions. How long have you been working for the Highway Patrol in that position?
For 17 years.
So you were obviously working in that position in February 2003.
Yes, I was.
Are you also a custodian of records for those documents and tapes?
Yes, I supervise as a custodian of records.
When you say you supervise them, exactly what do you do?
I oversee how they do their job and replace them when they're absent.
Because of your job, because of your duties, would you be familiar with how the 911 system works in Los Angeles County?
Yeah,
Yes.
finally.
And if I'm in the city of Alhambra in 2003, February 2003, and made a call on a cell phone, are you familiar how that 911 call would be answered?
Yes, at that time, all cellular 911 calls were routed to the California Highway Patrol.
Regardless of who I really wanted, if I wanted the Alhambra Police Department or the Alhambra Fire Department or the CHP, if I made that call on a cell phone, it would still go to the CHP, the California Highway Patrol.
Yes.
Has that changed?
Yes, it has.
Now it runs a little different.
Yes.
Now it goes directly to the agency.
In most areas, yes.
Okay. But we're talking about February 2003. So please explain that to me. If I'm in the city of Alhambra on my cell phone, I make a 911 call, it goes to the California Highway Patrol, what happens then?
Once we've determined the location and nature of the incident, we transfer it to the correct allied agency.
When you say we determine that, who would determine that?
The operator who takes the call.
So I make the call on my cell phone and someone's going to answer California Highway Patrol?
They'll answer 911 emergency.
Okay. And then what happens? Is the operator going to inquire of the caller?
What they will ask, what are they reporting, and they will ask the location of the incident.
And when the operator gets those answers from the callers, do they make some determination
As to?
what they should do with the call?
Yes.
So in my hypothetical, calling from Alhambra, reporting a crime in February 2003, a crime with a gun, what would happen? I call, you ask me, where are you and what are you reporting? And I say, I'm at 1700 Grandview in Alhambra and there's a man with a gun, or my boss just shot someone or just killed someone. What happens?
They would most likely transfer it to the police department.
The Alhambra Police Department. Okay.
Morning, Brooklyn.
Is there some system, or was there some system in place in February 2003 to try to record those calls?
Yes.
Could you describe that for us, please?
The system archives our calls onto a DVD recording, and they are held for 180 days.
Are they sometimes held longer?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. And in fact, in December of 2003 was the California Highway Patrol asked to try to recover any calls made from 1700 Grandview in Alhambra about 5 o'clock in the morning concerning a shooting, a murder.
Yes, they were.
Your Honor, objection.
You know, that's what the jury will determine, but you have to remember what was being investigated, what is charged, so that term is not pejorative in the sense that it's being used. If that's an objection, it's overruled. You may proceed.
And what did the California Highway Patrol
Sit down, says Judge Diehard. Sit your asses down. He ain't messing around, baby.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Search through our computerized journaling system for any calls from that location on that date.
Judge Bob almost got him this week. But
and what was the result of that search?
We located one incident.
Temper,
just
even
one.
Tone,
just one.
Very fair.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the 180-day situation. I think earlier you said that the California Highway Patrol, as a matter of policy, kept those calls for 180 days. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, this request was made to you after the 180 days, isn't that right?
Yes, there's time our purge cycle falls behind.
Okay. Purge cycle, explain that.
The 180 days. After 180 days, the calls are erased and the DVDs are reused for more recent calls.
But that doesn't always happen right on time.
No.
So in this situation, fortunately, the DVDs that these calls are recorded on were not erased. And when you were requested by the LA Sheriff's Department in December of 2003 to retrieve these calls, or this call, you were able to.
Yes.
And explain to us how that call is retrieved and how it's stored and how it's preserved.
Once we've located a computerized incident, we search through the our archiving system by position that is marked on the incident itself, who took the call, and we look through calls that caller received for that particular call.
Now, when you say you look through the calls, as if there was more than one call, would you found that too, or just one, or
yes?
How does that? How are you sure that you get all the calls?
Yes, it searches for the entire date for all calls from that location.
And this is a computer that does this?
Yes.
And as a result of that, you found one call?
Yes.
Your Honor.
Brooklyn, thank you for that share out here for the Murder Church stream. Appreciate that.
I'd like to mark another exhibit. I think our next in order is People's 36.
It is.
It's a 2-page printed document from the California Highway Patrol. I'm going to ask Sue here to put it up on the screen, just page 1. And it's trying to focus. So I'll have to wait while it thinks.
You're vamping, Mr. Dixon, but there it is.
There we go. And this is page 1 of People's 36. May I approach, please?
You may.
Thank you. Ms. Hill, I'm going to show you what we marked as People's 36 for identification. It's a 2-page document. I'd like you to look at it for just a moment. And then when you've done that, I'd like to ask you, what exactly is this? Do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize it?
It states the California Highway Patrol centralized CAD journaling system. This is a copy of one of our computerized generated logs.
And is this made under your supervision where you work at the California Highway Patrol?
Yes.
And is it made at or near the time of a specific incident or call?
Yes.
And it's part of your duties to maintain it?
Yes.
And it's a true and accurate copy of what happened?
Thanks for that share.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Does it reflect a specific call or a specific
No need to look for a parking
incident?
spot. That's true.
Yes, it does.
We send the bus
And
out
could
to
you
pick
tell
you
us
up.
what it reflects? What does it say?
Nothing just keeps looping,
This
baby.
reflects
Keeps on
type
looping.
code.
Oh shit, Bonnie Bailey just come through here. She also just sent me an email with the new shirt that she wants. She wants the new Hangin' and Bangin' shirt, and she's going to be number 3 on the new wheel. Bonnie, let me get you on here, baby. Hell yeah, appreciate that. Rocking and rolling this morning. Appreciate everyone being here.
Of 187, which is a penal code for murder, at 1700 Grandview Drive. The operator's position number where they were sitting was position 30. It shows their identification number and the date that the call was taken.
And what date was that?
On February 3rd, 2003.
What time?
At 0504:52.
So 5:04 in the morning.
Yes.
And does the document, People's 36 for identification, reflect the conversation between the operator and the caller?
Yes.
And what does it say?
It says RP, meaning reporting party, advising his boss just killed someone. RP heard the shot and can see a lady lying on the ground. There's abbreviations which mean transferred to Alhambra PD and their telephone number.
And that would be part of the policy that you just told us about, is that correct?
Correct.
After your operator at the California Highway Patrol determines what this call is about and where it should go, they send it off to the right agency.
Yes.
And does the rest of the document reflect the remainder of this call?
Yes.
Is there a log number that's attached to each one of these calls?
Yes.
Could you explain that for us, please?
The log number on this particular incident is log number 235, which it's the 235th incident that's been recorded on that date. Every date at midnight, the incident numbers start again at number 1.
So as of 5:04 in the morning, there had already been 230 911 calls to the California Highway Patrol?
235 incidents generated.
All right. So and that's the log number. That's unique to this call.
Yes.
Correct? Now, as a result of your search, would you have also obtained audio recording of this call?
Yes.
And that's from the DVDs?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, could we play this so that the witness could authenticate it?
Yes, so Your Honor, I think it's already been authenticated. It's been authenticated by Mr. De Souza, and I believe it's also been played already twice. So it's become cumulative.
I'll allow you just to play the introduction to authenticate it insofar as it has been played more than once.
Thank you.
Do you want to mark this?
Pardon, it's already been marked as People's 32.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. All right.
And in light of the court's ruling there, does the court feel that we need to hand out the transcripts for this?
No.
Okay, thank you. If you'd give us just a moment to set this up.
California Highway Patrol, Los Angeles Communications Center for February 3rd, 2003. All 911 calls related to log number 235-1700 Grandview Drive in Alhambra are included.
I got to take a picture of this. Hold on. I just want to post this. This is how they're doing this.
This tape runs from approximately 0500 to 0510 hours. Long blank spaces and/or transmissions not concerning this incident have been deleted. This tape was prepared on December 29th, 2003 at 8:01 hours by Public Safety Dispatch Supervisor 1 Sandra Hill, ID number Adam 9316. I hereby certify that this cassette recording is a true copy of the original master tape on file with Department of the California Highway Patrol, Los Angeles Communications Center, Los Angeles, California.
I think we've played the introduction to People's 32. Is that what the court had in mind?
Yes, and that would be the tape that you've been testifying, or the recording you've been testifying to.
Yes.
Does anybody wish any further foundation?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
By the way, did you recognize that voice?
Yes.
Whose is that?
Mine.
Okay.
Had some practice at doing that?
Just a little.
All right.
And so when you prepared People's 32, what we just listened to, at least in part, you...
See how like the judges and this attorney's back and forth with her felt sort of natural, and then you got Rosin up here just like making the weirdest fucking most awkward jokes ever. Please don't.
You prepared that introduction, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Cross-examination?
Thank you.
That's right, we got boom boxes in the chat. That's right, I forgot about that. What's up? Mandy
morning.
made those a while back.
Your preference for being addressed, Miss, Mrs., or Ms.?
Miss.
Miss, okay. Sounds like you've made the introduction on a number of recordings before this one.
It's him. Oh, God, I jinxed it.
So. Okay.
Son of a bitch. He tried one at the very beginning
there, too. I want to ask you a few questions here.
I didn't even hear it. I'm not going back.
If I understand the procedure, what happens is that at that time, let's just talk about February of 2003. At that time, if a 911 emergency call were placed from a cellular phone, the policy in place was that it was routed immediately to the California Highway Patrol. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then the dispatcher or the operator would intake information, and based on whatever the information was, that particular dispatcher or operator would thereafter choose a course of conduct. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, I think you told Mr. Dixon a moment ago that has now been changed. Is that correct?
Yes.
And now, as I understand it, is that things are routed directly to the jurisdictional agency. Is that right?
Throughout most of the county, yes.
Okay, so if that call that came in then were to come in today, what we would expect to happen is that call would not go to the CHP as it did 4 years ago, but it would go directly to the Alhambra Police Department. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, dependent on that location, then it would route to the correct agency.
Okay, let's assume that 1700 Grandview is in the city of Alhambra, then we would hope and expect it to be routed to the Alhambra Police
Yes.
Department. All right. Do you know when the system was changed?
For the routing of 911s?
Yes. In other words, between February of 2003, when we know that it went to you folks as opposed to Alhambra directly, and today, do you know when that system was changed so that now it is a direct routing system?
I don't know the exact date, no, but it has been. They've been working through changing the system for quite some time.
Okay. Would I be correct in also assuming you don't know why the system particularly was changed?
Yes, I do.
Okay, why don't you tell us?
It was changed to better handle those types of calls rather than all calls coming through the California Highway Patrol. They would be better, the public would be better served by them going to their primary answering point for emergency services.
Less burden for the Highway Patrol and certainly more efficient for the caller.
Correct.
Okay. Let's take a moment. You indicated in your testimony, Jen, could we please have 756 pagination page back up on the screen, which has now been marked as People's 36? Ms. Hill, I'm going to ask you to take a look over there again. Can you read that, or better if we blow it up for you?
Yes, please.
Okay. Can you blow that up, Jen, please? Maybe a little bit more, is it possible? Let's do the section where it starts with log colon 0235 and ends a little bit further down where the word witness appears. A little further down, please. Up. Keep going up. There we go. Right there is fine. Okay. Can you see that? Is that better?
Yes.
All right. If you have trouble, I have the hard copy here. I can bring it up to you.
I can see that.
Okay. Now, this two-page document, what do you call this again? This is called a journaling system entry?
Yes, it's our computerized CAD journaling system is where the call is retrieved, or the incident is retrieved from.
Okay. And the information that appears there comes from the retrieval of the information that's been recorded, correct?
Yes.
All right. So let's take a look at this a minute. You indicated the log number here is log number 0235, and that log is particular and peculiar just to this call. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So that log number, once it's assigned, and in this instance, once it was assigned to this caller, it would not be assigned to any other calls that day. Is that right?
That's correct.
And what time did this call come in?
At 5:04 a.m.
And there's another time recorded a couple minutes later, almost 2 minutes later, 5:06:59 below that. Do you see that?
Yes.
All right. And what is that particular time to see? What does that indicate, that time number?
It appears that during a conversation, the information was obtained from the caller. An initial update was made to the incident, and then further update was made.
There's no name on this document indicating who the caller was. Is that correct?
Below, there should be a witness field.
Okay. There should be a name, a proper name. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. Have you had a chance to review this before you came to court today?
Yes, I have.
And did you find the proper name here?
It appears there's a name there.
Okay.
Whether that's a proper name or...
All right, you're looking at it where it says SOUZH, correct?
Yes.
All right. And that is that the name that would have been obtained by the operator? Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, as I understand it, the information that we see here, this information comes from the caller, correct?
Yes.
It is transmitted from the caller to the operator, and then the operator records it digitally or some other way, and it comes out as we see it here on People's 36. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So this information, as you look at it, is limited strictly to the voice of the caller and no other source. That's a fair statement, isn't it?
Yes.
And the interpretation of what the caller speaks, the words that that individual speaks to whomever the operator is that receives that information, gets placed in this particular exhibit, People's 36, correct?
Yes.
So it is either all of the language that the caller speaks to the operator, or it's all of the language of the operator, or a combination of both. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. At the time that this information was received, there's no information to indicate here that any particular individual had been charged with a 187. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Okay. And as you indicated, 187 is a penal code section, correct?
Yes, it is.
Now, the numbers 187 are highlighted. Jen has helped us up there. And those numbers come from the operator. Is that correct?
Yes, they do.
Ms. Hill, am I correct in understanding that the operator is not a law enforcement individual in the sense that that person is a sworn CHP officer? That's correct, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
That individual is a private citizen, like myself, who works for the California Highway Patrol in the capacity as an operator, correct?
Yes.
All right. That individual, you've already told us, is not law enforcement, correct?
No.
And that individual is not a lawyer, such as the folks here at the council's table, correct?
Correct.
And most importantly, that individual is not a sworn deputy district attorney, such as Mr. Dixon and or Mr. Jackson, correct?
Correct.
So when that individual, that operator, decides to designate a particular call based on the information from the caller and decides to choose a particular penal code section or a particular business and professions code section or a health and safety code section where we find many of the crimes defined, it is up to them to place those numbers opposite the word type behind the colon sign, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And they're the ones that put that information there, right?
Yes.
No one else?
No.
Okay. Now, in this instance, regarding People's 36, you don't have any reason to believe that what we've been talking about is any different. In other words, the information wound up there as we've been discussing it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to ask you one other area of questioning, if I may, ma'am, and we'll get you out of here before the lunch hour, okay? As I understand it, you've been a public safety dispatch supervisor for the California Highway Patrol for 17 years, is that right?
Well, I've worked for the California Highway Patrol for 17 years. I've been a supervisor for 14.
Okay, so you're a veteran of this job, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. And as I understand it, you have two job responsibilities. One is to supervise dispatchers under you who are coming up through the ranks, correct?
Yes.
And the second one was you take care of the computer system in some capacity. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. Are you considered the custodian of records?
My employee is the custodian of records,
okay.
And in her stead, I am the custodian of records.
All right. When the call first comes in from the 911 mobile phone, now again, we're talking back in February of 03, not today. When the call first comes in, it is immediately, or it was at that time, immediately routed in to CHP, correct?
Yes.
And it was immediately routed to the dispatcher, is that right?
Yes.
And as I understand it, this dispatcher, who you've already described as being a civilian individual without legal training, and I don't mean that in a pejorative way, that individual, based on the information that they receive in the 911 call, designates and decides how to classify the call, correct?
Yes.
What information is going to trigger their decision as to what choice to make as to how it should be handled, correct?
They can use the information that's being provided by the caller.
Correct.
And what's being reported.
Okay. And then they can decide what they believe is in the best interest of the incident as to how it should be handled.
That is correct.
All right. And in this instance, as I understand it, once this information was garnered by the operator, the dispatcher, it was then passed on to Alhambra PD. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And that was done through a communication system, isn't that right?
Yes.
And as I understand it, that was the operator's, the CHP dispatcher's decision, correct?
Yes.
Okay. May I have just one moment, please, Your Honor?
Yes.
Looking at the exhibit, People's 36, did you see any indication that the CHP operator had sent an ambulance to the location?
No, I did not.
Can you tell from reviewing
Rachel, good
People's
morning, good
36
morning.
whether or not
That's
any
gonna be a hot
medical
one here in
aid
West
was ever
Virginia,
sent to
too.
that location?
Stay cool.
No.
Thank you very much,
Yesterday was
ma'am.
hot.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Redirect.
Hot summer. Hot summer in the city.
Just a couple questions. I think defense counsel just asked you whether or not the operators, the dispatchers, were lawyers. They aren't lawyers, are they?
No.
They don't have to be, thank goodness, right? They don't have to be trained lawyers or prosecutors, right?
Correct.
But they are trained, I assume, trained in determining with some degree of accuracy what's going on with these calls. Isn't that correct?
Yes, they are.
Could you explain that a little bit more for
It's
us?
a very lengthy process. They go through academy classes for approximately 4 weeks. They come back with a one-on-one trainer who teaches them how to handle call-taking duties. And then they once again go to academy and learn dispatching skills, and then come back for more one-on-one training.
And why all the training?
To ensure they're able to properly handle the calls.
This is a critical link in the whole law enforcement emergency system, is the dispatcher who answers the 911 call, correct?
Yes.
And wouldn't you agree that one of the most important things that they learn is to be accurate in the information that they take down?
Yes.
So if our document, People's 36, says that the caller said his boss just killed someone and sees the lady lying on the ground, as a supervisor, would you have some degree of confidence that that's what happened? At least that's what the operator heard?
Yes.
That's what they're trained to do, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Rosen asked you about the 187, and I think earlier in my questions, you indicated that was a penal code section for murder. Is that important that in each call the dispatcher try to assign some tag to it, some penal code section tag to the call?
No.
Why would they in this situation?
I really couldn't answer that.
Okay. Is that in the training a requirement to try to do that or not?
No.
Would that help law enforcement in some way to prioritize what calls to answer or how quickly to answer a call?
Pardon me. Are you able to answer that based on personal knowledge? I asked if I just asked her. Okay, I'm sorry. Or would you just...
Dispatchers have several choices of how to type a call.
And what are
So
those?
it doesn't necessarily, would it have to be a penal code section in order to accurately reflect an incident that's being reported?
Okay. What are their choices?
They could have type coded a shots fired incident. They could have recorded it as a request for an ambulance because somebody was injured. Could have type coded it simply crime.
Or they could have type coded at 187.
Yes.
As a supervisor with
Well,
17
have a
years of
great day.
experience, would
Whatever
you
time it
have
is
a problem with the way this was type
Probably morning,
coded?
right?
Objection. Overruled.
It's like midnight, man.
No.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Recross?
Should I say brief?
I wouldn't believe it, but you...
We're still going to try and get you out for lunch.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Jesus.
Ms. Hill, take a look at People's 36 again, would you? You just told Mr. Dixon that these folks go through quite an intensive training program, don't they?
Yes.
It's not, we don't just grab somebody off the street and throw them in the operators or dispatch room for the CHP, do we?
No.
And we didn't do that in February of '03, did we?
No.
What we did do is take individuals that were trained and had experience, correct?
Yes.
Academy training, one-on-one training, and actual experience training, correct?
Correct.
And you're satisfied as you sit here today that when you look at this, the information that is reported, there was reported by somebody who was very professional, whoever that operator was, correct?
Yes.
I don't think this question was asked, but that operator wasn't you, was it?
No.
Okay. So these are not your words.
No, they're not.
And this is not you did not generate this report.
No, I did not.
Okay. Would you take a look at the one area there where it says, in the middle, you see where it says, can see a lady Yes, thank you, Jen. Can see a lady lying on the ground?
Yes.
Okay. And based on what you just described, that was recorded by the operator who had all this training and professionalism, correct?
Yes.
And you have no reason to suspect that there's anything incorrect about that information that your operator, the CHP operator, recorded on People's 36 from the information received from the caller, correct?
Correct.
Now, one other thing. The individual, the young lady or young man who was the operator on that particular day, I don't know, typed it as a 187, correct?
Yes.
And you indicated it could have been typed in different ways. It could have been typed as a shots fired, correct?
Yes.
It could have been typed as a request for an ambulance, correct?
Correct.
It could have been typed as a crime, is that right?
Yes.
Ms. Hill, the operator who took this call and recorded this information did not have the decision-making power nor process to decide whether or not a crime had even been committed based on this information, correct? That individual could not enter into the decision-making process as to whether or not a crime had been committed, correct?
That is correct.
All that individual does, as I understand it, is listen to the information and then as best as they can, to their ability, try and pick the appropriate word to describe in this area or in the section entitled type, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you very much. Nothing further.
Thank you. Redirect.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Subject to recall, you're excused. Thank you for being here. You can discuss your testimony if you want. Thank you. Do you have another witness?
We do. Do you want us?
Let's get a few minutes in. Sure.
All right, let's see where we're heading next. Whoa, this name, okay, I'm gonna let him say it. I'm gonna go ahead and copy it real quick so I can get it in the lower third there. But Alhambra Police 911 Supervisor Gamaliel Catalan, I butchered that, takes the stand. Let's see what he says his name is. Thanks, everyone, for coming in here. Everybody that's come in late, appreciate it this morning. We're going to be hanging out for here just a little bit longer, probably about 2 more hours, actually. It's still kind of early here on Murder Church. Appreciate everybody coming through here this morning. And, yeah, Will is still in play, guys. We had one winner already. Laura won another shirt this morning. So, Laura, if you're in the chat, I just need your information. And, yeah, Bonnie, I got your email about the Hanging and Banging shirt. Thank you so much. And let's see exactly how bad I butchered the name.
Name of Gamaliel Catalan, spelling.
I can't even repeat it after I heard it, so I'm just going to put it.
Gamaliel, last name Catalan, Catalan.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. Thank you for coming. I think you were here yesterday waiting, too. We appreciate it. What do you do for a living? What's your job?
Currently, I'm the communications supervisor for the Alhambra Police Department.
And how long have you been employed in that job?
14 and a half years.
What's your background training for that job?
Well, we're required to go through post-training which is mandated by the state of California. Done my basic dispatcher course there. Also done my supervisory civilian course, also through post. And ongoing training that the state requires, which is 24 hours every 2 years.
Please tell us what your current duties are.
Right now, my current duties is to supervise the communications center, which includes 2 shifts.
Charlene,
also,
get in here.
Responsible for scheduling employees. Also, custodian of audio recordings that come in through either the phone or radio transmissions. Also prepare those documents for courts, MDT documents for court, and other dispatch duties.
I appreciate that. Could you expand a little bit on what the communication center is at the Alhambra Police Department and what they do?
Yeah, we are one PSAP center, which is a public safety answering point for the city of Alhambra. We receive all 911 calls that come in from within the city. We also handle non-emergency calls that come in through our 7-digit number. We also dispatch not only police, but back in 80 or 93, 2003, dispatched the fire department. Also Public Works, throughout the city to take care of different city problems.
In your earlier answer, you said you've been working in this job for 14 years.
Correct.
So you were working in your current position in February 3rd of 2003, is that correct?
Actually, I was a lead supervisor or lead dispatcher supervisor back in 2003.
And what was the difference between that job and your job now?
Not much.
Okay. All right. Basically the same thing?
Correct.
Okay. Let me ask you a hypothetical question based on your job and your 14 years of experience there. If on February 3rd, 2003, a person made a cell phone call from inside the city of Alhambra, for example, 1700 Grandview in Alhambra, and it was a 911 call, what would happen to it? And would it get to the city of Alhambra? Would it get to where you work?
Eventually it would, but all 911 calls on cell phones would go directly to CHP.
Back then?
Back then, yes.
Has that situation changed in Alhambra now?
It has, yes.
And how?
Well, cell phone providers have put up more antennas, and we're able to, what they call in the industry, cell phone callers on phase 2 are able to, we're able to receive a phone number, a location where they're calling from, and an address, and GPS. In other words, we can pinpoint them within sometimes 50 meters or 100 meters where they're calling from. But that's due because cell phone providers were able to implement what they had to install on their end to be able to access our 911 trunks.
So that's quite an advance in health
It is.
public safety.
Just like technology, everything is moving forward.
All right. Well, we're now talking about February 3rd of 2003. So walk us quickly through what would happen in my hypothetical. I'm on a cell phone. I make a 911 call from the city of Alhambra from the address I gave you. And I think you said it would first go to the CHP, the California Highway Patrol.
That is correct. And just like any law enforcement agency or call center, they would screen that call and make sure they route that to the proper agency.
And if I was, in my hypothetical, calling from within the city of Alhambra, would it come to you?
That is correct, yes.
What would happen then?
Well, again, if it's a police or fire matter, we will handle that directly and dispatch appropriate resources to the emergency.
And if I was calling on a police matter, would that call be recorded in some fashion?
Yes, it would.
And in 2003, in February 2003, how would that call be recorded by your police department in Alhambra?
Well, all our phone lines, including our 911 lines, are recorded, and every time the line is activated or picked up, the recording or the system will record. We have back then we had a system called Audio Log put out by Stansel, and every time a line would be activated, or a line could be a line that's activated just to page within the station, that would be recorded.
All right, just before noon, and although we're on the edge of our seats, we will take our recess until 1:30, sir. If you'll come back at that time, ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind the admonition. We'll see you at 1:30. All right. All right, back on the record, the parties are present with the exception of the jurors and the alternates, yes?
There was a scheduling issue that we thought we should bring to the attention of the court.
Okay.
I would expect that Wednesday afternoon, since we aren't going to be in session Wednesday morning with the jury,
yes.
Wednesday afternoon, our next witness is Dr. Pena.
Okay.
We just found out that county council has also subpoenaed him on a child abuse case, and he is scheduled to be in Department 405 that same afternoon, apparently, according to the Deputy County Counsel, for an hour or so. I thought I'd alert the court to that because maybe, I don't know if the court can intervene or we should just give up and not come in.
Who's the judge in that department?
I don't know the name of the judge. I do know it's 405. Apparently, they've had him under subpoena also and have pressed the point that he is testifying in the child abuse case.
Okay. It's a dependency case. I'll call Judge Stevens and see if anything can be done and what their schedule is, and we'll go from there.
All right.
Okay.
You'll let us, perhaps during the break?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Thank you.
Yes.
You go crank the AC down a little bit. It's already getting hot.
All right, the record will reflect the presence of the jurors, the alternates, and the witness. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I think when we left, as the court characterized this exciting examination,
I didn't say that exactly.
No, not exactly.
Not exactly.
You were telling us about the 911 call system that you supervised at the Alhambra Police Department. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, this system would also take in all calls to the fire department too? Any calls for assistance?
Any emergency call that required police and fire, yes.
And I think what I either was asking you or about to ask you, so I'll ask it again out of abundance of caution, is how do you preserve these calls?
We use an audio log recorder.
And those are kept for some period of time?
Yes.
How long?
In our department, it's been a policy for 2 years.
Sometime after February 3rd of 2003, were you asked by the district attorney's office to search for any calls to Alhambra 911 made on that day about 5 o'clock in the morning from 1700 Grandview in Alhambra?
I was.
And what was the result of that request in your search?
In my search, I located one call. It was a transfer from CHP to our center. And I was only able to locate one call.
And once you located that one call, what did you do, if anything, to preserve it?
I copied that onto a tape.
A CD?
CD tape.
Or a tape recorder. And that was eventually delivered to the district attorney's office.
That's correct.
Is that correct? Now, in your earlier answer just a moment ago, you said you searched and there was just one call.
That is correct.
And this one call was a transfer from the California Highway Patrol?
Yes.
Did that mean anything to you in terms of how the call was made?
Most likely it was a cellular call that went to CHP and they determined that the address was in our city and they transferred that call to us. Yes.
And that's how that was done at that time?
That's correct.
I think as you told us, that's changed now.
Correct.
Did you also make a search of your system, for want of a better term, for any landline calls made from that address, 1700 Grandview, on that day about that time to the Alhambra Police Department or Fire Department?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes.
And the result of that search was?
Oh, Miss Dina coming through and picking up the new Hanging and Banging shirt. Just got the notification in my email. Thank you very much. Hell yeah. Let's go. Hell yeah. New shirt out here.
No calls.
No calls. This was the only one, the cell phone call, apparently cell phone call, to the Highway Patrol transferred to the Alhambra Police Department, Fire Department. Is that right? Okay. I placed in front of you a document which I'd like to mark now, Your Honor. This is an 8-page document from the city of Alhambra documenting some activity on that day. It's an 8-page document, as I mentioned. May that be marked as People's 37, please?
37.
Thank you. Could we have the front? Thank you very much, Sudie. And I placed a copy of that document in front of you, People's 37, correct?
Correct.
You've had a chance to look at that document before coming today.
Yes, I did.
Okay. What is it?
It's an incident record form that is created by the dispatch center. It's created by dispatchers who create calls for dispatch, whether it's police or fire at the time.
And is this an official record of the city of Alhambra?
Yes, it is, sir.
Made at or near the time of these events?
That's correct.
And it's a true and correct copy? Is that correct?
Yes.
And it's an accurate document reflecting the events that it shows?
It does, yes.
Okay. Is it divided into basically 3 parts, remark, summary, and what else is here? And a kind of a chronology?
That's correct, sir.
Could you explain that for us a little bit? Why?
Well, the CAD system that we used at the time, and all CAD systems are different. This vendor, the way they created it, reflects the events that are entered by the dispatcher on this first part.
Let's do another ring along here. Why the hell not, Miss Dina? I love that. $4.99 to do it. And getting her name on the wheel again. Hell yes. On the new wheel again. Oh yeah, first time on the new one. Fuck yeah. Thank you so much, Miss Dina. Appreciate it. The bells. Whew. I'm glad I did that, man. The bells for Murder Church really bring it through. It's just perfect. Thank you so much.
Of this document. And then it lists a summary of what takes place.
Gotta have them bells.
It also describes the dispatcher. It is timestamped, so it gives you a date and the time that the incident or the comment was entered. It does indicate at what position that comment was made in. The event chronology gives you a overall view of how the event developed.
And that overall view not only involves the initial 911 call, but also Alhambra Police Department and Fire Department activity concerning the call.
This here does not reflect, this is not a fire incident, this is just the police department dispatch incident form.
So it would reflect Alhambra Police Department activity with respect to this one call to 911 to your city.
That's correct.
As we look at page 1 of People's 37 for identification, let me ask you that. I'll withdraw that and ask you this. You've already told us about the cassette or CD that was made of this call, right?
Correct.
Is People's 37 another way that your city, through your dispatch center, documents a call like this?
A call where services are dispatched or resources, yes.
Okay. Now looking at People's 37 for identification, page 1 at the top, this has the date and time, correct?
That's correct.
And that's February 3rd, 2003?
That's correct.
And does it reflect the time that the call first came in?
It does. It indicates 5:02 with 20 seconds.
And it also indicates the location of the call.
That's correct.
And that is?
1700 South Grandview Drive.
And the caller, the person that called 911?
It has the reporting person's name, Adriano de Souza, I believe that's how you pronounce it.
S-O-U-Z-A?
Z-A, correct.
And then going down the page of People's 37, page 1 of People's 37, the next section is event remarks.
That's correct.
What is that exactly? How has that come about?
Those events are entered by the dispatcher who's taking the call, or the dispatcher who has dispatched the call, or any other operator that wants to put remarks section in this part of the incident form.
Now, with this part of the document, People's 37, the event remarks reflect comments made only by Alhambra personnel, or would it also reflect the CHP remarks?
This would be only remarks taken by dispatchers at Alhambra, and they could reflect comments that
ready for the movie Marathon
other officers made or other agencies may have made. But, the dispatcher has the option to include those or not. Yeah.
Well, we talked about it earlier. This call
on Friday, we had the voting party to see exactly what genre films we would be watching this Friday night, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, exclusively on Kick. There won't be a Feral Friday starting on YouTube this time, exclusively on Kick for the evening. And I'm going to find a bunch of thrillers and some sub-genre, there's a lot of different subcultures on genres that you can throw in on a thriller. So I think I'm going to be able to find a bunch of cool ones, and I know I'm going to be able to find a bunch of cool ones, but get ready and get excited for that. All-nighter.
Likely made from the cell phone to the CHP and then routed to Alhambra, right?
That's correct.
But the remarks we see here would only be from Alhambra personnel, the Alhambra
set the couch up back here, set up some kind of really cool situation.
That is correct.
Try to make it look a little
they would reflect the pertinent information that the dispatcher...
And these are entered at or near the time the call is taken?
I wasn't able to hear that.
These remarks are entered at or near the time the call is taken.
That is correct.
And the operator's duty is in part to make sure they're accurate.
That's correct.
Okay. Could you tell us under the event remarks, what is the first remark made?
First remark dated February the 3rd, 2003 at 5:02, 20 seconds. RP heard one shot. RP's boss has gun in his hand, shot a woman inside the castle.
The RP is who?
RP is the caller, Adriano.
Okay. And then a few minutes later, there's another entry under event remarks, correct?
That's correct.
And that is?
Same date, time of 5:04:49, boss's name, fills Inspector, RP is subject's driver.
And then there's yet another remark under that.
That's correct. Same date, time of 5:05:12 seconds, RP is in a black Mercedes.
And after that, there's yet another remark.
At 5:09:09, RP came to pick up his boss at the above location. That person advised that the RP that he shot a woman inside and he thinks she's dead.
Now, the next section of People's 37 at the bottom of page 1 and going on to page 2 is event summary. Could you briefly tell us what that means?
That's basically indicates what dispatcher at what position, also including the time and date. It gives you a status of each of the units. Lets you know if the call was dispatch, the officers were en route. If it was waiting, the call that was cleared, and so forth.
Thank you. Again, on page 2, just below that, we see a title of event chronology. Do you see that?
Yes.
Could you explain what that portion of the document tells us?
It documents everything that was entered into this incident in a chronological order.
By Alhambra Police Department?
By Alhambra Police Department, and that goes with date and time.
Looking at that portion of the document, that portion of People's 37 under the event chronology, can you tell us when police department units from your city were dispatched to 1700 Grandview?
They were dispatched at 5:03 with 27 seconds.
And how many units?
There were 2 units.
Later on, did other units go there according to this document?
That is correct.
How many, can you tell?
I see 8 different ones on this first page.
Okay. Now, I'd like to invite your attention to page 3 of that same document, People's 37. As I look at that, it looks like event, maybe I should ask you about this, 109, do you see that?
Hey, thanks so much, Bobby. Appreciate
one detained
that.
clearing house. What does the 109 mean?
109 is the unit number or the officer call sign.
And there it says next to 109, one detained clearing house. What does that mean?
Dispatcher documented what was said over the radio. One detained means one person was detained, and that they were clearing the house inside. They had officers inside clearing the house.
And what time did that occur?
That's indicating 5:48:20.
So at least when Unit 109 radioed in and said that one person had been detained and they were clearing the house, that occurred at 5:48 or 5:49?
Around that time, yes.
Okay. Give or take a minute?
It could have been. With every incident, sometimes a comment may be delayed because the dispatcher is multitasking, doing different things, but they're trying to get information in there as soon as possible, yes.
Now, again, as I look at page 3 of this document, it's fair to say this document's somewhat comprehensive. It documents just about everything that's going on, doesn't it?
Love you, Bobby. Love all the support, man.
Yes, once the dispatcher enters, it is timestamped and...
Yo, Sheila, have a great day.
When the animal control people were sent up to this house.
That's correct.
And when is that?
Kick this week's ass.
Looking at the bottom of the document.
I'm already like out of, I don't know, yesterday felt weird, today feels weird because it's officially, and I said this earlier, you know, I have a week of vacation of 5 days, Monday through Friday, but I'm counting the weekends as well. You know, I'm off completely. So this is day 2 of me chilling hard for the next week. So it already feels strange to me. Like I'm already going to be hanging out hard tonight. I don't have to, I'm not, even though I always step late. I step late every night, at least 12 or 1, but it's going to be even later, baby. That's probably not even going to happen. I'll probably be passed out at 11. It's like, just because I can, like I won't have to worry about tomorrow.
It looks like the Unit 2S or 2SAM called, requested that at 6:29.
So from this document, at least what was told to the dispatchers, can we tell how long it was from when police Department units from the city of Alhambra arrived at this location, 1700 Grandview, and when one person was detained. Can you tell that?
Let me take a look at that. The on-scene time here is 5:04 when the first officer arrived.
And you're looking at page 2?
I'm actually looking at more of the unit chronology.
Okay.
Yeah, on page 5.
Fine, thank you.
And that's unit 104. He arrived at 5:04:37, and the detaining one.
Well, let me ask you a question about that since we haven't looked at page 5 before. Unit summary, briefly tell us what that's all about.
Again, it's just breaking it down. The incident is breaking the unit's summary, when they were dispatched, when they arrived.
Okay.
And looking towards the end, it tells you when they cleared this one.
Okay, and looking at the bottom half of page 5 in People's 37, Unit 104, it indicates that that unit was dispatched to the address on Grandview at 5:04:37. Is that correct, or is that when they arrived?
That is correct. And the way I'm looking at this, the primary units that were dispatched were 6 and 3. And by looking at the summary, it indicates that the officer put himself out also on that incident at that time, 5:04:37, which means that they're dispatched and they arrived on scene at the same time.
Okay. That's when they arrived, and then, as you told us earlier, a person was detained some 44 minutes later at 5:48 or thereabouts, correct?
That's what the record reflects, yes.
Now turning back to the tape, and I know the court indicated earlier, based on an objection here, that you didn't want to play it all again. But you did find for the district attorney's office, so we could play it here in court, the 911 call from this address, the one 911 call. Is that correct?
It was the 911 transfer call, yes.
And that was delivered to the district attorneys, and you want to stipulate this?
I was just going to say, Your Honor, I'd be willing to stipulate that the tape that we previously heard is in fact the tape that Mr. Dixon is referring to in this witness.
And I think that is, let's see, that'd be People's 32.
All right, thank you. The stipulation is accepted. Ladies and gentlemen, a stipulation is an agreement between attorneys as to certain facts which you are bound to accept, and you will accept that as a proven fact, and you may proceed.
I'm actually excited to be just hanging at the house. But yeah, I may try to do something local-ish, maybe in a neighboring county or something, but I ain't doing too much. I'm excited about chilling.
On People's 37, I think I asked you, the first page, it indicates an RP. Does that mean reporting party?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, and that would be according to this document, Adriano de Souza.
That's correct.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Cross-examination?
I have just one quick moment.
All right.
Need to do it anyway.
May I have a moment, Your Honor? I think Mr. Dixon's left some.
Okay.
I have another comedy fit here.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
It's Catalan?
Catalan.
Backstage.
Mr. Catalan, I wanted to ask you just a few questions here this afternoon. People's 37, what term would you use to describe that? Is it an incident log? What is it?
It's a incident of record that's created by the dispatch center on their CAD system when an incident is received.
Okay, I just asked you what the name of it was.
Yeah,
that's all. Incident of record.
It's a documented record of the incident.
Okay, does it have a title? Is what I'm asking you.
It's just a history record or incident record.
Okay, we'll call it an incident of record. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. Jen, could I get that up there, please? Thank you. I want to direct your attention to the document that Mr. Dixon just spent a little bit of time with you chatting about, okay? All right, let's take a look if we could, Jen, could you put that up a little bit for us? Before we get started, as I understand it, you're here today testifying as a custodian of records, is that correct?
Yes.
For this document?
Correct.
You don't have any personal knowledge about any of the language and what it describes in this document, correct?
Can you rephrase that?
Sure. You don't have any personal knowledge, any personal information about what you're testifying to. You're just testifying from this document, People's 37, correct? In other words, on February, let me ask it this way. You seem a bit confused by my question, and it's probably my fault. On February 3rd, 2003, you weren't at 1700 Grandview in Alhambra.
That's right.
Okay. So what I'm saying is whatever you read here are the words that were put on this document, not by yourself, correct?
Correct.
You're not the author of this document, are you?
No.
Okay. So if we take a look at page 1 at the top, the date and the time appear on the third line on the left side. You see where it says time 03-Feb-2003/05:02:20.
Bring out the throat. Bring out the
So
throat.
this was February
God,
3rd, 2003, correct?
Correct.
Right. And the time of
felt something on my arm and it was going, it's a leg.
seconds.
trying to
What
creep
does that
onto my
time
body. It's a
signify,
lie.
sir? Is that,
It's
tell us
inhabited
what
by
that is.
Phil
Is that the
Spector's
time that the
fucking
call came in from
spirit.
CHP or what?
That is the call that the document was created.
I'm sorry.
That was the time that the document was created.
Okay. The document is created simultaneously when the call comes in, or is the document created after the call?
After, and it's at the control of the dispatcher.
I beg your pardon?
It's at the control of the dispatcher. So the dispatcher will first of all, determine if a call is, are we going to dispatch appropriate resources? The dispatcher will create an incident report. So there's a line of questioning that goes on before they create the incident to make sure that, number one, it falls within our jurisdiction, and to just get pertinent information before they create the call.
So if I understand it, there's no hard and fast rule when that dispatcher has to log in that particular time. It can be sort of at their discretion as to when they think it's appropriate. Is that a fair statement?
Well, again, there needs to be a line of questioning before we create this call, number one.
I understand that. All I'm saying is it's up to the dispatcher to decide after the questioning when they log in that time.
That's right.
Okay, and there's no hard and fast rule when they have to do it. It's their discretion, correct?
As soon as possible, yes.
Okay. Now, Jen, can we go down on that again? Yes, that's right. All right. Now, Mr. Dixon asked you about this information contained here. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you see where it says there's actually a vertical column that says Eagle 4, Eagle 4, Eagle 4, Eagle 4, Eagle 3, Eagle 7. You see that?
Yes.
What is that?
That's the position where the dispatcher was sitting at.
Okay. At the station.
That's right.
Okay. And the other information that we see there is the information in part that dispatcher receives from whoever the caller is, correct?
Correct.
Now, in this instance, is there some way that when you look at that information just from the document, not from your experience, but just from looking at that document, can you tell which words on that document are spoken by the caller or which words were placed there at the discretion of the dispatcher? You cannot, can you?
No.
Okay. So, for example, if we read, for example, let's just start with the very first entry. We are at February 3rd, 2003, 5:02 and 20 seconds. If we take a look at at that language, RP heard one shot. Now, we don't know if that was the language of the dispatcher or that was what was spoken by the caller from looking at this document, correct?
That's correct.
All right, let's see if we can save some time. If I went through the entire document and asked you about descriptive language that appeared on People's 37 that in fact described events, I assume if I asked you the same question as each and every one, the answer would be the same. We don't know whether it's the caller's language or it's the interpretation of what the caller said, and therefore it's the dispatcher's language. Fair?
That's fair.
Okay. Court's indulged from one part. Your Honor, I need to locate something. All right. page 3 of People's 37, okay? And I think Mr. Dixon took a moment to chat with you about that, correct?
Yes.
All right. You have it in front of you? Let me know when you've located it.
Okay.
Okay. The good thing about being in your position is there's no trick questions here this afternoon. Okay? Let's take a look at page 3. And Jen, could I please have your assistance in highlighting in the center of the page where it says one subject in front? Yes, right there, please. Can you highlight that over there? Now, Mr. Dixon did not ask you about this, but I want to ask you about this. Do you see that particular entry in People's 37 on page 3?
Yes.
All right. And let's read that for a moment. It says, it looks to me, is that 2S? Am I reading that right?
That's correct. The S stands for Sam, or 2Sam.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't you read it and tell me what the symbolism is there, okay?
2Sam, the way we interpret it is 2Sam's advising one subject confirmed dead.
Okay, and who's 2Sam?
He's the field supervisor, or the officer in charge in the field.
Okay. And what is the...
Pickles, where's the wig? The wig is beside me. I do have the wig here. The wig is still chilling. You just never know when the wig will make an appearance. Like I just said, I felt something on my arm over here for just a moment. And it felt like the wig might have been trying to creep up my forearm. I think this thing could possibly be possessed with Phil Spector's spirit. Oh, God. Whoa. Oh, God. No. This is fine. Everything is fine. This is good. Everything is fine. Nothing to worry about here. Nothing to worry about. Thank you for the $1.99. Where's the pickles? I'm going to get you on that wheel, baby. I'm going to get you on that wheel. Let's go. Oh!
Date and the time that the one subject is confirmed dead.
That's the line above it. And that's a time of 5:56:10. Okay. It's entered under miscellaneous comments, as you indicated on that vertical column under...
Hold on a second. Let's get it up there for you. Okay.
Yeah, right above dead says miscellaneous. It's a miscellaneous comment that a dispatcher at that Eagle 7 entered.
Okay, so the entry for that is 5:56:10, not the entry below the writing 5:57:32. Am I hearing you right?
That's correct.
Okay. And can you interpret that for us? What does that mean with that language, one subject confirmed dead at that date and time? What does that mean?
Well, the officer communicated over the radio advised that one subject was confirmed dead, that somebody on scene confirmed that the person was dead.
Okay. When you say the officer on scene, you mean one of the patrol units that was dispatched by Alhambra Police Department dispatcher to that location, 1700 Grandview, on that date and at that time?
No, what I'm saying is that the SAM unit here, in this case, 2SAM, how he got that information, I'm not sure, but we just documented that he stayed over the radio that one subject was confirmed dead.
Okay, at that date and that time?
That's correct.
Okay.
Control it. Could control it.
From looking at People's 37, do you know who the dispatcher was who handled this call that morning?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And who was it?
Handled the call is dispatcher Boblik.
Do you know that individual personally?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know whom is it a he or a she?
It's a she.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's what I was going to ask. Do you know whom she received the call from CHP from? In other words, what operator or dispatcher at CHP she spoke with?
I don't know, no.
You don't know. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Nothing further.
Thank you. Redirect.
Yes, just a moment, please. Thank you.
Hey, have a good day, Bobby. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. I feel like I need a Navy grog all of a sudden.
We go to
Navy grogs in the chat.
I'd like to invite your attention to People's 37 again. Page 1, Mr. Rosen asked you some questions about the language that was highlighted there. That's okay. You were the lead dispatcher at this time, isn't that right?
At the time, yes.
And as the lead dispatcher, that means you're all the other dispatchers' boss?
Yes.
And did you know your employees pretty well?
Yes.
Basically, just briefly, tell us what the training level is for a dispatcher for the city of Alhambra at the time.
Dispatchers have to go through 120 hours of basic dispatch training that's mandated by the state, by post. And they go also ongoing training every 2 years, 24 hours. But it's anywhere from 6 to 8 months of training. They get, it's broken down in 3 phases: call taking, fire dispatch at the time, and police dispatching.
Call taking. Is it important to be accurate?
It is, yes.
And based on your experience there, the city of Alhambra as the lead dispatcher, would they just make this stuff up, or where's this language come from?
It's interpreted by the dispatcher, and all the information they interpret is from the caller. And we get opportune information. I know some of those comments look abbreviated, but to save time and to be able to dispatch immediately, we a lot of times abbreviate some of the...
But the information that the dispatcher gets comes from the caller.
That's correct.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Is it, as their boss, as the lead dispatcher at the time, is one of the things that you care about to make sure that they record this information accurately?
That is correct.
And why is that? Why is it important to get this caller information coming in on 911 accurate?
It needs to be accurate so we can dispatch the appropriate resources. Also, to make sure that our officers are safe when they get there. So we want the person calling to be our ears and eyes to give us all the details so we can describe that to the officers that are dispatching the call.
So the dispatchers would not only want to record the information that they get from the caller in an accurate manner, isn't that right?
Yes.
But they might probe the caller to get more information to meet the goals that you just mentioned.
That's correct.
Which includes officer safety, fireman safety, right?
That's correct.
And the meaningful use of your resources and assets.
Yes.
So you don't send 5 fire trucks to a place that just needs 1.
That's correct.
Okay. So based on your experience in supervising these dispatchers, especially this one, do you have a degree of confidence in their ability to record this information accurately?
Overruled.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Rosen had you go to page 3 of this document, People's 37 for identification, and I'm going to ask you to do that again too, please. He asked you about, in the middle of the page or just above the middle of the page, it reads 2S, one subject confirmed dead. Correct?
That's correct.
And that was at 5:56 a.m.?
5:56, yes.
And 2S, I'm sorry, you may have answered this question, but who's that?
2S is the day shift officer in charge. Most of the time it's a sergeant or a corporal.
In a situation like this, it wouldn't surprise you that...
A little bit of a break here for 2 seconds. Look at this fucking thing. Are you kidding me? What? Potato salad? I see mustard under there. I don't know if there'd be onions in there as well. Maybe that's mixed in already with the potato salad. I can't even talk. I'm going a little crazy here, even staring at this thing. The bun looks more like a hoagie style, and that's a big old wiener, man. That's a hog right there. Little paprika on the top. I'm going to try to recreate this son of a bitch today. And then down here is one of my new favorite comments ever, or with a reply. Dash came through and said, "See, this is why I love commenting on one of your posts. I see more of this beautiful content, and you know, my feed is insane. My feed is wild. I don't know if you follow me on X. You should." And I said, "I do have a random feed. You may get a dead body or a delicious treat. You never know." So yeah, make sure you're following on X so you could get a delicious treat, a dead body, or an awesome dog. And I mean a real dog, a pupper, or a kitty. I actually showed my kitties last night too. We were chilling hard last night. The vacation is in full swing. I want to show this one as well. Bada bing, bada boom. We're ready for anything as long as it isn't like, super soon. Let's calm down here. Charlie's down here taking a napski. Ellie's looking for lovin's. The kitty squad likes to come out late and hang and bang, baby. They don't mess around. Love it.
Hanging and banging.
Whoa. Potato salad does not belong on a hot dog. It's a little controversial. But I think it looks pretty good, though. I'm going to give it a shot. I love potato salad. So anybody else's Walmart serve this potato salad that has deviled eggs in it? Like it's made with, it's a normal potato salad, but it has, I don't know if the mixture is the deviled egg mixture. It's freaking delicious. And I think I'm going to do it with that. I think that's going to set it off. I'm going to experiment. I'm going to see what I end up with. I'm going to document it and let you guys know. So, CH is out with the egg salad. Damn. I like egg salad. I love egg salad.
A sergeant would appear at the scene.
See what happens.
You may answer.
No, it wouldn't surprise me.
That would be a field
intriguing.
supervisor.
That's correct.
Now, later on,
there was a little bit of,
on the same
a little bit
page,
of
as we
pushback
go
on
down
that
the
post as
page,
well.
I'd like you to look at about 2/3 of the way down. It says, have medic unit come 10:19 to check subject in custody for being tased. What does that all mean?
It means that that unit 1SAM, which is also another field supervisor night shift, has requested medics to come to the jail to check on the subject that's in custody, check him out, make sure he's clear for booking. In this case, he was tased, and that's what the concern was.
And
experimental dog
tased or
party.
tasered, same thing, in your understanding?
That's correct.
10:19 means exactly what?
10:19 station.
So if I was on the radio and said
Expand your taste buds a
S2
little bit,
10:19,
guys.
what does that mean?
That means you're at the
I found
station.
some really cool stuff.
All right. Could I
You
just
wanna
have
call it
one moment?
concoction.
Yes. Can you tell by looking
Let me
at the
say
same
something. I'm gonna be
document
honest.
whether or not a medical unit actually did go to the station to check this subject?
This is, like I said, this is not the fire incident, this is the PD incident, so it would not be documented here.
Oh, okay. So you need the fire incident
That's
report to know whether a paramedic unit went
I
to
knew John
the
Lennon.
station.
That's correct.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Nothing.
Thank you. Recross?
May I speak with my colleague?
Yes, of course.
Mr. Catalan, Mr. Dixon asked you about the training that occurs with a dispatcher. And if I heard you right, I heard you say 120 hours of dispatch training. Is that correct?
Basic training academy, yes.
In call taking, fire dispatch, and I didn't get the third discipline.
It's call taking, fire dispatching, then police dispatching.
And then police dispatching, okay.
And that's not included in the 120, that's besides the 120.
Okay, so it's a pretty intensive discipline, isn't it?
It is.
Okay, and these folks that go through this, I assume they have to pass tests along the way, is that right?
The pre-employment testing is that they have to go through that, and then they have to pass their probation period, yes.
Yes, and the probation period, I'm assuming, is actually on-the-job experience, is that right? Okay, and you have been a communications supervisor for 14 years, is that right?
I've been in the profession for 14 years. Yeah,
Okay.
I've been a lead dispatcher for the last 6 years now.
So you're one of the
I did
folks
get
that
distracted
has
by how just big and plump and round it was. It was a fat hog.
quite a seniority in this area. Isn't that a fair statement?
That's correct.
Okay, you're kind of like a veteran at this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you this. You, in your capacity as a communications supervisor, this is not the first time that you've reviewed documents like this, is that right?
No, it's not.
Okay. And you, as a supervisor, one of your responsibilities, I think Mr. Dixon used the word boss, is to check on the employees that are under the umbrella of your responsibility, correct?
That's correct.
And one of the reasons you do that is to make sure they're discharging their responsibilities and their obligations correctly, right?
That's correct.
It is correct, is it not, sir, that I'll wait for Mr. Jackson to sit down. Okay, that's okay, no problem. Let's start again. It is correct, is it not, sir, that in your capacity as a supervisor, there have been occasions and times when you have found that errors have occurred, correct?
Human nature, yes.
Yeah, human nature is we make mistakes. None of us, as they say, are perfect, right?
Hellcat,
and you
perfect
have,
timing.
in fact,
We're
as a
talking about big
supervisor
plump railed dogs.
at Alhambra PD, discovered mistakes and errors from time to time
What the hell in here?
with the people who are responsible to you as dispatchers. Isn't that a fair statement?
In different areas, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Redirect.
No, thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further.
All right, subject to recall, you may step down, sir. Thank you for being here. Do you have another witness?
Yes, we do.
All right, what's next? Where are we going with this, baby? Nice bald gentleman. Alhambra Police Officer Sean Heckers takes the stand, and we've got a 56-minute, man. This will probably take us home today, and we're going to keep rocking and rolling. I appreciate everybody for coming through here this morning. Thank you all so much. Another great murder church. I have been possessed by the wig of Phil Spector. It took over my body. This thing is alive. It just crawled right up my freaking arm and landed on my head. I don't know what to do, and I'm going to try to pry this thing off. Everybody, thank y'all so much. We've got a will in the works right now. We had a winner today. Laura won another shirt. Where are we at right now? Let's see. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 names on the new wills. We're looking at 7 more to finish this thing off. So far, we got Gamby's, Sarah, aspiring court reporter. Let me actually go through them this way. That would be smarter. Let me give some love here. As we do here. First of all, Susan Barnett came through this morning. 2 months. That's fucking awesome. That's Suzanne. That's crazy. Hanging and banging and getting to know us all. Boom. Shannon came through and gifted out a membership, which is freaking sweet as hell. Thank you so much, Shannon. Gamby's came through with the $1.99 after that. Sarah said me, because she wanted on that wheel. They started out the new wheel. She came with the $4.99. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Bonnie Bailey, 2-time winner. And Bonnie, have you received the first shirt? I hope so. That went to Canada. $2 passing the plate. Yes, let's go. Miss Tina coming through with the $4.99, who loved me just talking about a big plump round dog/hog. And I'm going to be making what I just showed on the stream here. I'm going to try to replicate that except with the deviled egg potato salad from Walmart. And I think it's going to be good as hell. And if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, you may not have it at your Walmart, but here, oh my God. And this is what just happened. The wig felt the energy from this one, from Where's the Pickles, with a super chat of $1.99. Where's the wig? I picked up the wig, and it crawled up my freaking body and attacked my face. So that's where we're at this morning, currently, on Murder Church. It hasn't got there yet. Okay. I've still got the tracking. I'm going to check that out. Because hold on. I think you was a little bit later, if I'm not mistaken. Because the very first one that went out went to Australia, and she just got hers, but you're a lot closer than Australia. So, yeah, let me check the tracking on that and see exactly what's going on. I want to see exactly when I sent that out here. Yeah, we had Miss Lisa Afton, and you were the third one. So yours has been out there for a minute now, so that's kind of worrying me. Yeah, let me check that out, Bonnie. Make sure we're still good here. Everybody in the house, baby. And I got your other email also, Bonnie, just so you know. Yeah, let's go. Let's keep going. We'll probably get taken home by this gentleman. Let me get his name so I can update the ticker. Officer Sean Heckers takes the stand.
Sean Heckers, SEANHECKERS.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, officer.
Afternoon.
I'd like to invite your attention to February 3rd of 2003. What was your occupation and assignment at that time?
As a police officer with the City of Alhambra, assigned to the Patrol Division.
When you say you were assigned to the Patrol Division, what exactly did you do?
I was a field officer at the time.
So you worked in a uniform?
Yes, I did.
And did you drive a black and white vehicle?
Yes, I did.
How long have you been a police officer at that time, on that day? February 3rd, 2003.
Nearly 8 years.
And so you'd had some background and training for that job, is that right?
Yes.
You went through academy where?
Rio Hondo Police Academy.
On that day, what shift were you working?
Day shift.
And when did it start?
At 6 a.m.
Till when?
Till 6:30 p.m.
12 and a half hours?
Yes.
So you worked, what, 3 or 4 days a week?
3 days a week.
On that day, do you remember that day?
Yes, I did.
Some events happened that you recall, is that correct?
Yes.
When you arrived at the station about 6 a.m., what happened? Were you asked to go somewhere?
Yes, I was asked to suit up and go ahead and take a patrol vehicle to 1700 Grandview.
And did you do that?
Yes.
One landed halfway around the world in Australia.
Yes, I did.
Did you have a partner? Were you working with a partner?
I think it just landed like
I did
Friday,
have another
so
officer that worked the
minutes.
same team as me that day, yes.
Did you go to 1700 Grandview with him that
Yes.
day? What was his name?
Officer Derek Gillian.
Had you ever been to 1700 Grandview before?
No, I have not.
Your Honor, I think I'd like to put up what we previously marked as People's 21 for identification.
All right.
Officer, I invite your attention to the screen here. We're going to have a photograph up here. Thank you.
Yeah, next chapter. Welcome in here.
Can you see
Thank
that?
you.
Yes, I can.
Possessed.
Do you
Take it
recognize the residents shown in either of those photographs, A or B in 21?
Yes, I did.
And what do you recognize it to be?
I recognize that to be a residence in the southwest portion of the city known as the Castle.
When you were asked by your supervisors that morning about 6 a.m. to go out to this location, did they tell you what they wanted you to do when you left the station?
No.
So you were just to report there and assist?
Correct.
And when you arrived, exactly where did you go?
I went to park my vehicle on Grandview along the north portion of the property, just north of the driveway there.
City, can we have 24? We're going to put up People's 24 for identification here, and I'm going to ask you to look at it. It has 4 photographs, A through D.
Morning,
See
there,
if
Burns.
any of
I've
these
got to go to the
help
fucking
us
post office. I've got
determine
something
exactly
cool for
where you
her.
went.
I'm going to do that. Can you do that on a Sunday?
Do you see
If
that
not
exhibit,
today, I'll do
People's
it tomorrow
24,
morning. I'm excited
A
about that.
through
Welcome
D?
in here. Good morning.
Yes, I do.
Do you recognize any of those photographs
Almost
as
good
showing
afternoon here.
where you went when you arrived at 1700 Grandview that day?
Yes.
Which ones?
I was in the approximate area of A.
Got my laser pointer here. I'm pointing to A. Is that where you went?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. When you arrived there, what happened? What'd you do?
I stood by and waited for direction as to what was needed in order to assist the other officers that were already on scene.
Was there a sergeant there?
Yes, there was.
Sergeant Lagarde?
Yes.
Was he a supervisor?
Yes.
And at some point after you arrived at 1700 Grandview, did he give you some directions as to what he'd like you to do that day?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
There was an individual in one of the patrol vehicles, and I was asked to drive the vehicle back to the Alhambra Police Department.
And did you do that?
Yes.
Do you see the person that you drove from 1700 Grandview back to the Alhambra Police Department in
Yes.
the courtranroom here today?
Yes, I do.
And could you point to him and tell the judge what he's now wearing?
This individual is sitting here in I believe a tannish gray suit with a turquoise button-down shirt.
Indicating
Don't you
Mr.
talk
Spector
about
for the
me,
record.
just stared him down.
Thank you, Your Honor. So did you take the defendant, Mr. Spector, back to the Alhambra Police Department in the car you came in, or a different car?
A different vehicle.
So he was already in the back of that car?
Correct.
And did you do that alone, or were you with someone else?
I was alone at that time.
So about what time, if you recall, did you arrive at 1700 Grandview, this castle? What time did you get there that day?
Approximately 5:59 a.m.
And what time did you do what your sergeant told you to do and take the defendant back to the Alhambra Police Department?
Specific time frame, I'm not certain on that.
How long were you there? 10, 15 minutes?
Minutes, yes.
Okay. So you weren't there very long before your sergeant told you to do what we've talked about?
Correct.
When you arrived back at the Alhambra Police Department, what happened then?
I parked at the rear parking lot of the police department, and I escorted, now known to me as Mr. Phil Spector, into the Alhambra Police Department jail area.
Had you ever seen him or met him before?
No, I haven't.
Did you know who he was?
No.
When you arrived there, was he in handcuffs, by the way, or not?
My recollection is not extremely clear on that, but it's common practice that we have everybody handcuffed during transport.
It would be unlikely that you would have somebody alone in a car with you who was not handcuffed, who was detained in any way.
Highly unlikely.
Okay. So once you arrived at the police department, you escorted him into the police facility building?
Correct.
What happened then?
He was sat down on what we have as an intake bench, and he was seated there.
At some point after that, did you get some further direction from one of your supervisors as to what to do with respect to Mr. Spector? Or did you ask to do something?
I asked the on-duty watch commander, and I had made mention, based on the circumstances, if a gunshot residue kit had been conducted, and if not, if that needed to be conducted.
You mentioned a watch commander. What's a watch commander?
A watch commander is generally the individual that's in charge of the patrol shift on a particular date and time, and usually of a rank of a lieutenant.
And he's superior to the sergeant?
Correct.
And one of your bosses, one of your supervisors?
Correct.
But unlike the sergeant, he generally stays in the station, isn't that correct?
Generally, yes.
Where the radios and the phones are?
Yes.
So after you brought the defendant from Grandview to the police station, at some point you asked this lieutenant, the watch commander, whether or not you should administer a gun residue test.
Yes.
It would be.
Tell us what that is.
It would be interesting to get like the collective of people that we have in this community, because we are all over the world, to make something that's common, like maybe a potato salad, just to like see how different they all are. What do they call it? A potluck? Oh my Lord. We need a Buzzed Nation potluck.
Gunshot residue kit is a kit that we have, and it's issued by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And basically inside it, there's an envelope with a set of instructions.
I kid you not.
And on the front side, there's generalized questions that you'll fill out. And on the kit itself, there's a number issued to each kit. And from there, inside the kit, there's two discs, both for the left and right hand. And those kits indicate for left and right hand, along with numbers that should correspond with the actual gunshot residue kit that you've removed the items from.
So each kit, to your understanding, has a specific number?
Correct.
Do you recall the number of the kit that you recalled or retrieved this time is 24468?
Yes.
And then inside, I think you said that some of the discs inside have the same number.
Correct.
So they're all correlated.
Yes.
By the way, could you tell us that prior to this date, you'd have any training or experience in administering a gun residue test to anyone? Did you receive some training by the police?
I've received training in it, yes.
Could you expand on that, please?
Yes, the training was while an officer in the city of San Marino, individual by the name of, he's now Sergeant Jim Henson, provided the training on that particular day. And he provided training showing us the gunshot residue kit. He went over some of the things that you want to look for, which is when you do get a kit, you want to make sure that it hasn't been tampered with and it's taped. You want to make sure the seal isn't broken. When you go ahead and make sure that the kit is not been tampered with, what you then do is you break the seal, open it up, and inside the kit there should be a set of gloves, two discs, like previously stated. One will have an L for left and one will have an R for right. And those discs will also have numbers that need to correspond with the actual gunshot residue kit. In addition to that, there will be an evidence tape in there, which once you're finished completing doing the gunshot residue test, you will then put the covers back on the discs and place them back in the original kit and place an evidence piece of tape over it where you'll initial with your name and put a date and time stamp on it.
In your last answer, we probably should clarify something. You'd been a police officer, worked at a police agency other than Alhambra prior to working at Alhambra. Is that
Correct.
right? Tell us a little bit about that.
I started my career with the city of San Marino, during which time over the course of the year, I then lateraled over to the Alhambra Police Department October 4th of 2001.
So you'd been working at Alhambra for how long?
Since October 4th, 2001, previously with the San Marino Police Department since January of 95.
And you, just in that earlier answer, outlined or explained your training in administering this test. Is that right?
Correct.
It's not that complicated, is it?
No, there's very specific instructions on the back of the kit, and it goes line by line exactly on the type of protocol that it requires in order to conduct a gunshot residue kit. And you just simply read the directions and proceed from there.
So on the day we're talking about, February 3rd of 2003, did you go off and get this gun residue kit that we talked about, 24468?
Yes.
And did you administer it to the defendant, Phil Spector?
Yes, I did.
Did you follow the instructions?
Yes, I did.
By the way, is this the first time you'd actually, in the field, really done one of these to a suspect?
In the field, live, yes.
Other than the training that you've gone through?
Correct.
So when you got the box, was it sealed and taped up?
Yes, it was.
And did you follow the instructions and unseal it?
Yes, I did.
And get out the discs?
Yes.
Did they correspond with the same number?
Yes.
What did you do then?
I then, well, with the gloves already on, I then removed the cap on the right disc and firmly pressed along. It instructs that you use the disc when pressing along the forefinger, the web of the hand, and the thumb area. And when doing so, you start with the right hand first and partially working up the backside of the hand and palm area. And that's what I did. And then I put the disc cover back on, put it back in the kit, and conducted the same procedures with the left diskette.
And you did that in the same way?
Yes.
Followed all the procedures?
Yes, I did.
And when you completed the test, what did you do?
Then placed them back in the kit, and with the evidence tape, placed it back over the kit itself and initialed it, dated, and time.
When you say you initialed it and dated it in time, is that standard procedure?
Yes, it is.
So you put your initials on it?
Correct.
And the date and the time you finished conducting the test?
Yes.
And once you'd done that with the kit and it was all put back together with the used disc, I guess, for want of a better word, what did you do with the kit?
The kit was then booked into evidence with the Alhambra Police Department.
That's standard procedure too?
Yes.
About what time did you conduct this test? Do you have any recollection of that?
Based on reviewing my notes, I believe it was approximately 6:55 a.m.
Did that refresh your memory when you reviewed that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall whether or not at any time you were with the defendant at Alhambra Police Department that a Alhambra fireman or paramedic came by?
Specifically, I don't recall.
Okay. Later on that day, though, did you go to another medical facility?
Yes.
About what time was that?
I believe that was approximately 5 p.m. that afternoon.
So near the end of your rather long shift?
Yes.
What was the reason for that?
Chain on that.
We were transporting him to San Gabriel Valley Medical Center in order to conduct a sex kit examination.
When you say we, who do you mean?
I was escorting Mr. Spector with another officer, Officer Derek Gilliam, and now Lieutenant Debbie Santana, who was a sergeant at the time.
So there are 3 Alhambra officers that accompanied the defendant to this medical facility?
Correct.
What medical facility?
San Gabriel Valley Medical Center.
And who asked you to do that? Did someone, the lieutenant?
One of my supervisors.
And you were going there to have someone else conduct these tests?
Correct.
When you were there, did you meet a Nurse Caruso?
Yes.
And were you present while Nurse Caruso conducted whatever tests she was going to conduct?
Yes.
Would that be standard procedure in a situation where someone who was in custody?
Yes.
How long were you there at the San Gabriel Medical Center?
Based on refreshing my recollection with my notes, approximately an hour and a half.
And during that period of time, were you with the defendant the whole time?
Yes.
Once Nurse Caruso finished completing her test, what happened then?
We escorted Mr. Spector back to the Alhambra Police Department.
When you say you or we, that was?
Once again, Officer Gilliam and now Lieutenant Santana.
And was that just about the end of your shift?
Yes.
Could I have a moment, please, Your Honor? Thanks. Your Honor, I'd like to mark another exhibit. It's People 38. I'll show them now.
All right.
And Your Honor, is a document that has two photographs. I believe they both show defendant Phil Spector. May that be marked as People's 38? I think that's next in order.
So marked.
Thank you. And they're now on the screen there.
He's rocking this wig.
Officer, do you recognize either or perhaps both these photographs?
Yes.
Why do you recognize them?
The individual in the photographs is Mr. Phil Spector.
That's the person that you transported from the 1700 Grandview address in Alhambra to the Alhambra Police Department?
Yes.
About what time were these taken, do you know?
I don't know that information.
Could have been any time between 6 or 6:15 in the morning till 5 o'clock at night, right?
Correct.
Okay. Where in the police department are these photographs taken?
That appears though it's over near the area where the Cal ID booking photo takes place.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
Judge, I'm not, but I understand we're having technical difficulty transferring. Can we just have a minute for
Certainly.
connections?
Okay.
We'll also turn the reading up for some of these.
Okay.
Can't fix it? All right, we'll see what we can do. Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Officer Heckers. How are you? We haven't met. My name is Linda Kenny-Bott, and I'm one of the lawyers who's representing Mr. Spector, okay?
Nice to meet you.
All right, nice meeting you also. I'm not sure if I've met you. You look like the judge's brother. Here, a second.
Okay, it's a nightclub again. She comes straight up and just calling him out for being a bald man right in front of the judge and kind of taking a shot at the judge. What are we doing here?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
We need to calm her down.
This is gun country.
Lord.
Been there a long time, Your Honor.
I'm going to hear from my brother tonight, okay?
Oh, my goodness. We have fun.
Okay. Now,
we have fun out here.
When you got to, you said the castle, I heard you say. Now, you said that, is that something that was known, that Mr. Spector lived at a place called the castle?
I didn't know Mr. Spector before that. I just knew of the property.
Okay, you know the property. It's something that the police officers in Alhambra knew because it was like a landmark?
I believe that's where it stemmed from.
Okay, so that's not something that you heard of from Mr. Spector, that's just something you knew because of the property, where it is?
Yes.
Okay, and you were shown a picture of the bottom of, I guess, the long driveway down on the street, that's where you came?
Yes.
And at the bottom of that, there was a police car, and did I understand you correctly, that's where Mr. Spector was sitting in, the back seat of another patrol unit?
Yes.
And that would be a marked patrol unit, correct?
Yes.
And he was sitting in the back seat with another officer at the time, was he not?
No, I believe he's in the vehicle by himself.
By himself. Was there an officer in the front?
There was Officer, I remember Sergeant Lagarde in the immediate area. I don't know exactly where he was when I came up to the scene.
Okay, I'm interested, you said to the Mr. Dixon a number of times that you refreshed your recollection before you came to testify with notes. Do you have notes on this case?
Yes.
Do you have those notes with you?
I have some of the notes.
When you say you have some of them, are there more in another location?
I believe there's my standard reports, yes.
Okay, so you have reports, correct?
Yes.
And then you have notes, correct?
The transcript, yes.
Okay, when you say notes, could you pull out what it is that you referred to as notes that you mentioned in your direct?
The transcript?
Okay, is that your notes that you're talking about?
Yes.
Did you make any marks or annotations on the transcript, any writings?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach and make a copy? Thank you. Okay, thank you. You mind if I stand here for a second, Your Honor? Just want to look at them
No, that's fine.
real quickly. See, they've been rolled, huh?
Yes.
Now, when I look at these, I don't see any annotations on them. Did I miss it?
The handwriting was just on the front there.
Oh, just on the front, okay. So you didn't make any other writings or anything on the note, on the transcript?
No.
And when you say transcript, is that the transcript of the testimony you gave before the grand jury?
Yes.
And you gave testimony before the grand jury 2 times, correct?
One time.
Okay. What is the page numbers of the grand jury transcripts that you have?
I'm not quite certain where I need to look.
Okay.
Up in the upper right?
Yeah, upper right. Do you see anything up there?
There's a 426.
And that goes to 438 or 439?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have, perchance, any grand jury transcripts up there going from 531 to 536? If you don't, that's fine. I'm not trying to trick you.
I'm sorry, 531?
Went to 536?
No, they're all
The fact that you said that makes me think that you might be trying to trick me.
400 series.
Okay, we'll come back to that then. So this was the first time, I understand, that you were taking a gunshot residue sample from someone who was in custody as a suspect, correct?
Correct.
And you had training, correct?
Yes.
And you had gone through a course with the other officer at San Marino?
It was during a training, briefing training.
Right. And they emphasized to you, I would imagine, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, how important it was to make sure you do the gunshot residue testing correctly, right?
Yes.
And to do it, to make sure that you don't get any contamination on the samples, correct?
Correct.
And the reason they explained to you that that was important is because this gunshot residue is microscopic, is it not?
It's particles. I'm not sure on the scientific aspect of it.
Okay. You knew there was particles, correct?
Correct.
And you were told in your training that these particles are easily transferred from one location to another, were you not?
I was told that I wouldn't want the discs to touch any other types of surfaces as to prevent any possibility of contamination.
Did they explain to you any of the scientific reasons when you were given this training as to why you don't want contamination on the discs?
Good afternoon.
Yes.
What was told to you? Why don't you tell us?
Simply that you, just like anything, you wouldn't want any item that you're going to use potentially to include or exclude any type of evidence to be contaminated with any outside sources. So when removing the discs, the cap from the disc, you want to make sure that they don't touch any other surfaces other than the intended surface that you're going to take the sample from.
And that's because if something or some item or even someone touches a surface that may be contaminated, they could pick up a couple of those particles, correct?
You would not want the disc to touch any other surfaces other than the intended surface.
Right, because you don't want any of those particles picked up.
Correct.
By anything else. Now, when you saw Mr. Spector in the back of a police car, do you know, or had you checked to determine, or let me go back, at grand jury you testified that he was handcuffed, correct?
I testified that it would be a probability that he was handcuffed, but I didn't specifically remember as to him being handcuffed at a specific time.
Okay, Judge, may I approach to you? If I showed you a grand jury transcript about whether he was handcuffed, would that help possibly refresh your recollection? Sure. Or you have it in front of you. You could turn to page 438 and just look at the bottom from 23 to 26. And after you finish reading it, just let me know.
Okay.
Okay. Does that refresh your recollection that you told the grand jury that somebody had handcuffed him before he got into the car?
Based on my recollection, with refreshing my memory here, it simply states that I was not the handcuffing officer, and if somebody else were to handcuff him, that was what I was saying correct to.
Okay, so you were saying that your testimony is today that you believe somebody had already handcuffed him.
I'm saying that during the transportation of somebody, it's highly probable that they've already been handcuffed, and I did not handcuff them myself on that particular day.
As a matter of fact, department rules require that if you're going to transfer a suspect, you put him in the back of the car and handcuff the suspect, correct?
The clarification as to the transportation of Mr. Spector, in my mind at that time, was uncertain if I was transporting him specifically as the suspect or for possible interviewing. So that was uncertain in my mind at the time.
Okay, but that wasn't my question to you. Let me see if I can rephrase it and make it clear, because maybe I didn't phrase it properly. If someone is a suspect, the department rules require that he be handcuffed in the back of a police car, correct?
Suspect, yes.
Okay. And do the department rules require that that a suspect be handcuffed behind their back or in front of them?
Generally, under most all circumstances, you'd be handcuffed behind the back.
Okay. And the reason for that is so that somebody who's a suspect can't get their possibly arms around a police officer or somebody else with the front of their hands, correct?
Generally, yes.
Okay. And the handcuffs that your department uses, are they, I know you said the GSR kit was Los Angeles Sheriff's Department issued?
Yes.
Are the handcuffs also Los Angeles Sheriff's Department issue?
No.
Okay. What were the type of handcuffs you had that day?
The Peerless.
Peerless? Okay. And those are your department's handcuffs that are generally issued?
That's the ones I individually carry.
Okay. There's no requirement for everyone to have the same?
That, I would say the majority of officers do carry the Peerless. Some may carry Smith & Wesson, but I'm not sure as far as if there is a policy.
Okay. All right. So you take Mr. Spector to the Alhambra station, correct?
Correct.
And you put him in the front area, a booking area? Is that?
Yes,
bench?
Once you enter the jail, right as you enter the second door, there's a bench on the right.
Okay, so you have to enter the jail, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, the car that you used to transfer Mr. Spector, do you know how many suspects had been transported in that car prior to Mr. Spector, say, in the week before?
I do not have that information.
How about 2 weeks before?
I don't know.
Okay. When you brought him and put him into the jail and put him on the bench, do you know how many other suspects or arrestees had been on the bench in the week before, Mr. Spector?
I don't.
How about 2 weeks before?
No, I don't.
Okay. The Alhambra Police Department, I assume even when they're driving in their cars, they carry guns, correct?
Yes.
And what was the normal issue for the Alhambra Police Department in the guns that are carried as the sidearm?
During that time, it was
thank you.
the H&K 40 caliber, I believe.
And H&K stands for what?
Heckler and Koch.
Okay. And in the Alhambra jail, correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume that a number of police officers come in and out of the jail, correct?
Correct.
And they normally, if they're on duty, would be carrying guns, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a requirement at that time in your department that officers go to the range and shoot their guns to requalify?
Yes, it's standard that we qualify.
And is that done by is that the department requirement at that time for every officer?
I believe during that time there was a requirement that we do qualify at the range, yes.
Okay, and that would be what, once a year or twice a year?
Generally, depending on, our range has been intermittent, but generally we try and qualify once a month, up from previous quarterly qualifications.
Oh, once a month?
We do try.
Okay, and did you have to qualify for both nighttime shooting and daytime shooting, or just general daytime shooting?
They vary the qualifications.
Okay. Do you remember what it was around January, February 2003?
No, I don't.
Okay. And on February 3rd, 2003, how many police officers did the Alhambra department have, approximately, ballpark?
That I don't know. We were allotted, I believe, for roughly 92 to 94 sworn personnel.
Never set a very chill tone.
This is a good place to take a recess.
Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind the admonition. We'll resume at 15 minutes at 3 o'clock. You may step down if you wish. Thank you.
Keep on rolling here, guys. Appreciate everybody for hanging out.
All right, back on the record. All parties, jurors, alternates, and the witness are present as heretofore. Just before we begin again, I did attempt to contact Judge Stevens. There's no answer in the courtroom. Kids have probably taken over the courtroom, if my recollections are correct from when I worked over there. I'll keep trying. I don't know whether the courtroom's dark or they're not answering the phone when they're in session. I don't know.
Well, that would affect our...
All we can do is just keep working on the problem and see what happens. Okay? Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. When we left, we were talking the fact that in your department you have to qualify once a month.
Yes.
Okay. And prior to taking the gunshot residue sample off Mr. Spector, I understand from your testimony for the grand jury that you had qualified on January 25th, 2003 at the range, correct?
Yes.
And then after you did that, after you did the qualification and handled shooting the gun, you washed your hands a number of times, correct?
Yes.
During the following week. You took your gun apart and cleaned it all out, correct?
Generally, that's my routine practice, yes.
Okay. Generally, that's your routine. You telling me that you don't know whether you did or you're just assuming that you did because that's your routine?
That's my routine, yes.
Okay. So, then you do have the gun with you when you're on duty thereafter, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you know what the practices for the other 92 to 94 people who are members of the sworn officers of the Alhambra Police Department in 2003 as to what they did to clean their guns after qualifying every month?
I do not.
Okay. And by the way, when you were taking Mr. Spector in the police car, when you moved from your car, I guess, to the car that he was in and drove him to the police station,
Yes.
were you in uniform?
Yes.
And you had the police belt and the handcuffs and all with you?
Yes.
Okay. And the officer that you saw in the front of the car, was he also in uniform?
I don't recall where officers were seated or standing.
Okay. Who was the officer you said was standing in front of the car?
I recall Sergeant Lagarde being in the general area.
Was he in plain clothes or was he in uniform?
Uniform, from what I recall.
And that would again have the same regalia, the belt and the handcuffs and his sidearm on him, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And by the way, when Mr. Spector was handcuffed in the back of the police car, do you know whether he was sitting back against the back seat or was he sitting forward? In other words, were his handcuffs touching the back seat and his hands touching the back seat?
From my recollection, it was still fairly dark out, so I wasn't really paying attention as to how his hands were positioned.
Okay, so you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell.
Correct.
Because it wasn't anything that would have concerned you at that time.
Right.
And nor should it have been. By the way, when you took the kit, the GSR kit, and took the left hand and did swabbing all over the left hand, and you did a good job on that, right? You got all the portions of his left hand, correct?
I feel I covered, when I eventually went to his left hand, the index, web, the thumb area, and the back of the hand here and palm area.
Okay, so you got all the areas that you were supposed to get on the left hand, correct?
Correct.
And I would imagine that the same would be for the right hand, that you got all the areas for the right hand that you were supposed to get, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then you said, if I recall at one point, that there are standardized questions on the kit that you get.
Correct.
Do you remember what those questions are?
Some of the questions is to the particular type of incident that you're dealing with, the times and dates, the individual that you're taking the gunshot residue test from, hobbies, and I believe whether they're right or left-handed.
Okay. And in fact, you asked Mr. Spector whether he was right or left-handed.
Thursday, 12:20.
Let me rephrase it this way.
Sustained.
On the questionnaire, did you fill out that questionnaire for the gunshot residue kit because you were trained that it was important to answer all those questions?
Yes.
And did you answer the question as to what Mr. Spector was...
Counsel, we need to approach. You may resume.
Okay, thank you. What questions did you ask? I don't want to know what the answer is. Just what questions did you ask that's on the kit?
Specifically, I don't recall.
I think to go through the questions is fine. That's, you know, what questions are asked and go from there.
Specifically, I don't recall.
Okay, do you have anything with you that would refresh your recollection?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, all right, that's fine. What would refresh your recollection? Do you know, the kit itself?
Looking at the kit itself or photocopy thereof.
Okay. Now, you also stated that there was a question to you from Mr. Dixon. Do you recall whether firemen came while Mr. Spector was sitting on the bench? Do you recall that question?
Yes.
Did you say you didn't recall or you weren't there when they came?
I don't recall.
Okay. You didn't have any discussions or see any firemen come to inspect Mr. Spector?
I don't recall whether there were firemen there to look at him or not.
Okay, that's fine. And then you also indicated that when you first saw Mr. Spector seated in the police car at the bottom of that driveway, you didn't see anyone in the car with him. Let me ask you this, did you inquire to anyone as to how he got down the hill into the police car?
No.
How did you know which police car to go to?
I was standing next to that particular patrol car when I got to the location.
Okay, and you knew that this was the patrol car you're going to be taking over because someone told you that's the patrol car you're going to be taking over?
No, I just happened to stop at that patrol vehicle.
Just by accident?
Just by accident.
Okay, and then it was your sergeant who said, would you get in and transport this person to the Alhambra jail?
Correct.
Okay, and that's what you did?
Yes.
Okay, and so then later on in the day, after you had Mr. Spector, and he was booked sometime thereafter, right?
That's my assumption.
Well, did you ever see a booking and property record from the from the Alhambra jail?
I don't recall. My assumption was that he had been booked because I believe he had been bonded out later on that afternoon.
Okay. If I showed you a couple documents, could that possibly refresh your recollection?
Certainly.
Okay. Your Honor?
Yes.
Have you look at these to see if they refresh your recollection on whether or not you've seen them before or the information they're in. And then I'll ask you questions. Just tell me when you're finished, if you've had enough time to look at them.
They don't look like a document that I've certainly seen before.
Okay. Are you familiar with, or did it help refresh your recollection as at the time Mr. Spector was booked?
Objection assumes facts not evidence with this witness.
Sustained.
Did you just tell us that he was booked?
That was my assumption because I believe he was bonded out at the end of the workday.
Okay, and to be bonded out, at some point you'd have to be booked, correctly?
That would be my assumption if you bonded out.
And what does booking mean in police terminology?
Taking personal information, photographs, labeling some type of violation with the booking process.
Okay. And did you supply, do you know who the booking, or is there something called the booking officer?
Yes.
And who was that for Mr. Spector?
The booking officer is generally one of our jailers.
Okay, and do you know who that was for Mr. Spector?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you know the name Velarde?
That name sounds familiar, yes.
Who was Velarde?
That was one of the employees with the jail.
Okay. Did you ever speak to Mr. Velarde relevant to Mr. Spector on February 3rd, 2003?
I'm sure I conversed with her.
Do you have any, is it her? I'm sorry.
It is
to
her.
her. Do you have any recollection of what you said to her?
No.
Okay. Do you know who the arresting officer was?
No.
Okay. Did you know who the searching officer was?
Not specifically. I believe looking at that item, I was either noted as the transporting or searching, but I don't know who the searching was.
Okay. Now, Mr. Dixon showed you 2 pictures. One was 38A, and we're just going to separate them out with 38A and put that back on the screen if we can. Okay. And could you just focus on that? Now, you talked about these pictures. Is this, before I showed you the full length one, is that how Mr. Spector looked when you had him at the jail?
I'm sorry,
Is that how Mr. Spector looked when you had him at the jail? Go back to the full length one, Jennifer, please. Thank you.
That's the way I recall his hairstyle, and the clothing looks like it's a black shirt. It looks like the one, yes.
Okay, and if we could zero in. Now, do you see where his hands are handcuffed in front of him here?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know who took off his handcuffs and removed them from the back to the front?
I don't know who placed the handcuffs in that position.
Okay. Do you know whether the person who had placed the handcuffs in that position, or you don't have any idea of whether anybody had fired their gun in the week previous to Mr. Spector and touched him while he placing those handcuffs, do you?
Jackson, that's called for speculation. So let's ask if he knows.
Do you know?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
I was on that one.
Now, you also indicated that you took Mr. Spector to the hospital, and I think it was called the San Gabriel Valley Hospital?
Yes, San Gabriel Valley Medical Center.
Okay. And you also, I imagine, had him handcuffed when you transported him to the hospital that afternoon, correct?
That I don't recall.
Okay. Would it be in the course of standard operating procedure on February 3rd, 2003, to have a suspect handcuffed when they're being transported?
Transported in a patrol vehicle, yes. However, these circumstances dictated that we took him in a different type of vehicle. So under that circumstance, it's not necessarily the way we would transport somebody.
In other words, you simply don't know whether or not he had handcuffs at the hospital or not, do you?
I don't recall that.
Okay. And when you got to the hospital, I think you said that you met with a nurse?
Correct.
And on the way to transporting him at the hospital, what car was he taken in?
It was a van.
It was a van?
Yes.
And was it a police van?
It was a plane vehicle. It was. Yes.
Okay. And that would be the police van that takes suspects or prisoners sometimes back and forth to court or to jail or something like that?
I believe that particular van was used for surveillance.
That was used for surveillance. And in the van with yourself and Mr. Spector was whom?
Officer Derek Gilliam, and then Debbie Santana was driving the vehicle.
Okay. And they were both they both had police side weapon issues with them?
Officer Gilliam did. I'm not certain how Debbie Santana was dressed that day.
Was there an Los Angeles Sheriff's Department person with you?
During that transport, I don't believe so.
Did a Los Angeles Sheriff's Department officer meet you at the San Gabriel Hospital?
There was a deputy with us throughout the day. I don't recall when and where he specifically was, so it is possible that he met us at the hospital.
Okay. And you didn't make any notes on that or anything?
No.
Okay. And when you got to the hospital, and did you meet with Carrie Caruso?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you even signed an authorization to have or request a suspected sexual assault exam, correct?
Yes.
And you were the only one from Alhambra who actually signed the authorization at the hospital, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And you got to the hospital about what time? 5 o'clock in the afternoon?
That time was noted as roughly the time either we departed from the police department or arrived at the hospital, give or take several minutes.
Okay. And you left the hospital about 7 o'clock that evening, correct? 1,900 hours, would that be 7 o'clock?
Okay, that sounds right.
That's military time.
Yes.
Okay. 12 plus 7 is 1,900. Okay. And at the time that he was at the hospital with Carrie Caruso, you stayed there the whole time with Mr. Spector, correct?
During the exam, I was present.
Was it just you, or did the other two people that you mentioned who came with you in the van, were they also present?
I believe Officer Gilliam was present throughout the actual examination also.
Okay. And you watched that examination, correct?
I was present, yes.
Okay. And during that examination, Mr. Spector had a disrobe, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And he was naked or not clothed during portions of it, correct?
During portions.
Okay. And you also watched as the sexual assault examination was being conducted, correct?
I was present.
Okay. And you watched as Nurse Caruso took medical instrumentation and plucked anal hairs from him, correct?
I believe there was hair taken. I wasn't real specific as to the exact action she was taking.
Did you see her pluck genital hairs from him?
Yes, what appeared to be is that type of an action, which would be consistent with probably plucking a hair, yes.
Did you go to the bathroom with him when he had to give a urine sample?
That I don't recall.
Do you recall if somebody else went to the bathroom with him?
I don't recall.
Were you there when his skin was lanced to take blood?
I believe I was present during that time.
Were you there when his pictures of all his genital areas were taken by Nurse Caruso?
Photographs?
Photographs. Pictures, photographs, yes.
Yes.
Okay. And during this time, did you observe the demeanor of Mr. Spector?
Yes.
And would it be fair to say he was cooperative?
Yes.
Alert?
Yes.
Subdued?
Yes.
This is calling for objection, no foundations.
Well, I think he's allowed to offer either a lay or certainly a lay opinion of his demeanor and manner if he can recall. Overruled.
Okay, thank you. He was calm?
Yes.
And composed?
He was calm.
Okay. And after that finished, he was redressed. By the way, I must have missed something, and I apologize. When you transported him from the Alhambra police station to the hospital, he was not wearing, if I could have picture 38B up. Prosecution 38B. He was not wearing the black shirt or black pants that was seen in this picture, which was taken at the jail, correct?
I don't believe he was.
Okay. And so after he disrobed and went through the sexual assault examination, by the way, did you see Nurse Caruso swab under his fingernails?
Yes.
Did you see her take a light source and look at his hair?
I believe so.
Did you see her take a light source and look all over his body while he was naked?
I believe so.
Okay. And after all this was done, he was allowed then again to get dressed in whatever clothing he came to the hospital with?
That's my speculation, yes.
And did you handcuff him to put him back in the van to take him back to the jail?
That I don't recall if he was handcuffed during that transportation detail.
Okay. And you have no notes regarding that, correct?
No, I don't believe I do.
Okay.
Look at him stare at him. Feel the thrill.
The gunshot residue test that you took, it was very clear to you, was it not, that there was a
shaking? That was weird. He like gets into like that, into like a weird, when he was just shaking uncontrollably, and like when he broke the concentration of the stare, he stopped with the shaking. What the fuck was that?
For the left hand, separate from a pad from the right hand, correct?
Yes.
And when you were trained at San Marino at the police department, were you told it was important to take a sample from each of the hands?
The specific wording I don't recall, but it was indicated that there was one for each hand.
Did anyone tell you why that was important?
The specific nature as to the exact importance, I don't recall anything specific during the training, just that there's one in the kit that's specific to the left and one to the right.
So it was important for you to make sure that the procedures of that kit was followed completely, correct?
Correct.
And that the whole kit was filled out correctly, correct?
The front side of it to the best of your abilities, given if you have all the information.
Why, when you were trained, was it important for you to be told to have all the information on the front side of the kit?
Just thoroughness, completing it.
And you fulfilled that to make sure that you got the most complete and thorough swabbing of Mr. Spector's left and right hands that you could possibly do, correct?
I conducted the test to the specifications that it required, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just, the jail at the Alhambra Police Department, are you allowed, or were you in February 2003, to take guns in there?
No.
Why would that be?
For safety purposes for both the officer safety, jailers, and the inmates themselves.
You wouldn't want a gun to get loose inside the jail?
Correct.
How about your patrol cars? Are those cleaned at any kind of intervals?
Generally speaking, most of our patrol vehicles are cleaned on a routine basis.
Inside and out?
Yes.
The back seats in at least the patrol vehicle that you had, that you used to transport the defendant on the morning of February 3rd, 2003, could you describe that for us?
Generally speaking, what the patrol vehicle looks like, it's a plastic seat that's contoured. In the back, it has kind of an indentation so that you can freely have your arms rest behind your back. So it's kind of inset from the rest of the backrest of the seat, and also has an area where you can put on a seatbelt.
And this is not a bench seat that we might see in most sedans?
No, it's made out of plastic so that you can't secrete any type of weapons or contraband or anything like that.
And again, is that cleaned at any kind of regular intervals at your department?
Generally speaking, the vehicles are taken to the car wash, and those vehicles are cleaned both interior and exterior.
Now, the way you've described those seats, are they just for arrestees or detainees, or do other police officers sit back there from time to time?
Under rare circumstances, officers can get back there, but generally speaking, it's mainly to transport individuals, whether escorting or in custody.
And detainees or arrestees who are escorted or transported in a patrol vehicle such as you've described certainly wouldn't be allowed to have weapons back there.
No.
And if, for the most part, as you said, it would be very rare, or maybe you just said rare, that a police officer would actually sit in the back seat. Is that correct?
Correct.
So the presence of weapons in the back seat of one of your Alhambra patrol cars would be rare. Is that right?
Yes, it would be.
Could I have a moment?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Recross.
Thank you. You're not an expert in how gunshot residue contamination occurs, are you?
No, I'm not an expert.
And you can't sit here and testify today that that patrol car was cleaned to the extent that it would remove any gunshot residue that may have been there, can you?
And as an expert, no.
No. And you can't testify as to whether or not every single officer cleaned their guns after they shot at the range, correct?
Correct.
You can't testify how well those cars...
I'll allow it.
On the firing?
I'll allow her that he's not able to testify. She can ask the questions, he can give the answers.
You can't testify as to how well those cars are cleaned, correct?
No.
You can't testify as to how many people you've had arrested in those cars who have been charged with some type of weapon possession previously, correct?
No.
You can't testify as to how many people who were arrested and put in those cars who actually had owned guns in the past previously, correct?
No.
Or shotguns in the past previously, correct?
Correct.
And you can't testify as to on the bench of Alhambra how many people who have been arrested had shotguns in the past previously, correct?
Correct.
You can't testify to how well it has been cleaned, correct?
Correct.
That's because you're not trained in whether or not scientifically contamination can occur at those places, correct?
I'm not trained as, I'm not the one who specifically goes around and cleans those items or what type of cleaners are used.
Okay, thank you for honesty, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. We
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Subject to recall, you're excused. And may step down. Thank you for being here. Do you have another witness?
Yes, we do, Your Honor. Fireman Brown.
Tuesday, we're going to be going into 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday night. Fireman Michael Brown takes the stand. We're going to be checking this dude out. Yeah, they're grilling him pretty hard about, what Dizzy was sort of saying there in the chat, the possibility of something like GSR being easily transferable and the back of the patrol car, and these spots are not clean thoroughly enough. You know, you never know what can happen. And all you need is just put a little bit of doubt into the jury's mind for something to happen. And we know how this one ended. At least most of us may. If you don't want a spoiler, I'm not going to say it again. It's been spoiled before. But this is a wild freaking case, man. It's nuts. It's really interesting to hear these arguments laid out. And Bodden is actually my favorite defense attorney that Phil Spector has, if I'm going to be honest. I think she's more thorough with her questioning. She's more likable, which is a big thing for me personally. I don't give a shit. Some of these dudes are absolute cocksuckers. And and in her opening statements at the very beginning, I remember having me question some things, you know, just because of how good she actually is. But after you see a lot of this evidence and the testimony of previous ladies that have been in a horrible position with Phil Spector, it's hard to not see Phil Spector as an absolute monster, and knowing what we know even after the fact. But where we're at right now is we're going to be heading into episode 19, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I really freaking appreciate it. Dizzy, thanks for modding today. Brooklyn, thanks for modding. Everybody that came through, I really fucking appreciate it. Everybody that donated, it is on the new will. That will is going to carry over to Tuesday night, so come ready. We might get a new shirt coming out there, and then some new shirts are going to be rolling out this week for sure. So yeah, Murder Church, Publicly Buzzed, we're doing the thing. If you did not see last night's stream, go check it out. I had a banger stream last night. I had a bunch of guests on. I had multiple experts on talking about Alec Baldwin, and it's a wild stream. So yeah, go check that out. I'm going to put a link here for that in the chat. And yeah, as you head out the door, if you have not hit the like, please do that as well. And tell a friend about a friend, or tell a friend to tell a friend about Murder Church, rather. Got my words twisted up there. But I really appreciate all the support. Let me just get this in the link here. You're going to be getting teleported into another universe, another dimension. It's going to be Excited Utterance. She was on last night. Hella was hanging and banging. She's got a stream coming up today. And it's called Hearsay. Go check it out. Her and Dolly is going to be coming at you. They may have some guests on there. And yeah, I'm going to be starting my freaking vacation is what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be hanging out, keep an eye on Twitter, keep an eye on what's happening, and love you guys. Let's get the hell out of here.
That's